Chapter 752. Everyone's eyes looked over at Chu Xiaoyang. Their eyes were filled with confusion, anger, condemnation, and disdain. Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes darkened a bit, and she asked in a soft voice, chained to the bed, "Xiaoyang, did you imprison Ning'er? What did she do that you have to treat her like this?" Mo Chuan's forehead couldn't help twitching. Although he already knew about this from Chun Ning's mouth, personally hearing Chu Xiaoyang say it, he was still filled with rage that he almost couldn't suppress. Chu Xiaoyang raised his chin and calmly replied, "Royal grandmother, your grandson did not imprison Ning'er. It was for her own good. After the competition that day, she fainted. Your grandson brought her back and found that she was heavily injured, with deep knife marks on her wrists. It was clear that she had lost a lot of blood, so your grandson invited a doctor to see her. The doctor said that she was very tired and her body was very weak, so she had to rest in bed. However, Ning did not listen to the doctor and wanted to go to the palace for the banquet. Your grandson was helpless and could only use iron chains to lock her up, not allowing her to leave the bed. When your grandson entered the palace, the East Qin Crown Prince gave me 1,000-year-old snow ginseng. After returning, your grandson immediately sent people to make ginseng soup for Ning'er to drink, so I did not have time to untie her. At this time, there was a fire in your grandson's palace, and your grandson rushed out to put out the fire. In less than half a cup of tea's time, when your grandson came back, Ning'er had already disappeared and there were only 2 chains left. Royal grandmother, this grandson's words are all true. Please, royal grandmother, understand." His words were clear and loud, flowing like the clouds and flowing water. It was obvious that he had already thought of this speech before he came. He was not just saying this for Empress Dowager Zhou, he was saying it for all the ministers present to hear. Otherwise, if everyone forced him to hand her over, how could he hand her over? When Empress Dowager Zhou and the ministers heard this, they were filled with doubt, but they couldn't find anything wrong with it. So it's like this. Then you're saying that someone really snuck into your palace and kidnapped Ning'er? Empress Dowager Zhou looked at Mo Chuan from the corner of her eyes. Seeing that her son's expression did not change, she had an idea in her heart. No wonder Chu Xiaoyang complained to her. Even if this matter was not ordered by the emperor would still know where Ning'er was. Otherwise, how could he be this calm? Chu Xiaoyang forcefully nodded. "Yes, royal grandmother, grandson would not dare lie to you. Not to mention that the competition with East Qin is about to begin, and I haven't been able to find Ning'er. Grandson is just as worried as everyone else." Grandson is worried about Ning'er's safety and grandson is worried about my West Chu. But the emperor does not believe grandson's words. Even if grandson is muddle-headed, I would not do something that would lose my country. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a slight nod and said to Mo Chuan, "Emperor, Xiaoyang's words aren't false. Quickly send someone to find the princess. If the princess doesn't appear by the time it's time, wouldn't East Qin laugh at my West Chu for not keeping their word?" Mo Xiaoqin's words. He softly looked at Chu Xiaoyang. Although he was angry at the despicable things he did to Chen Ning, his words just now were watertight, completely washing himself away. He was a very smart person. "Shao Si, send the order. All the royal guards will search for the princess' whereabouts. They must find the princess before noon." He gave the order. Chapter 753. Emperor, you sent the royal guards to search for someone? They can't find her at all. In these 3 days, this minister has already brought people to search the entire capital city. Chu Xiaoyang couldn't help saying this. "What? Xiaoyang, you think that this one's royal guards are useless and can't compare to your subordinates, right?" Mo Chuan raised his brows and asked. "Emperor, this minister doesn't mean that." Chu Xiaoyang choked and said with wide eyes, "Then what do you mean? You were blaming this one for not believing you and not sending people to search for the princess. Now you're blaming this one's royal guards for being useless. King Ding Yuan, this one thinks that you're sincerely looking for someone. Emperor, please forgive this minister for being disrespectful. This minister doesn't think that the one who is sincerely looking for someone is someone else." Chu Xiaoyang coldly said. "You're talking about someone else. Are you talking about this one?" Mo Chuan was also filled with anger. When he saw Chu Xiaoyang, he wanted to beat him up. This minister doesn't dare. As for who it is, that person is well aware of it. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaoyang's brows were both lowered as they stared at each other. The two of them had the same blood flowing through their veins and were both very handsome, but they were currently at daggers drawn and the atmosphere was ignited. The ministers could feel the tense atmosphere in the air, and they couldn't breathe from it. Seeing the emperor and King Ding Yuan staring at each other like fighting cocks, they were all confused. They couldn't understand why the two of them would suddenly go against each other. King Ding Yuan was very disrespectful, actually daring to speak to the emperor like this. But the emperor's attitude was a bit strange. It was like he was deliberately targeting King Ding Yuan. Everyone did not care about this matter, so they just stood there. They all lowered their heads, but their ears perked up, waiting to see a good show. Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't hold back and shouted, "Emperor Xiaoyang, what are you two arguing for? Go find someone for this widow. It's almost noon. If you can't find her, this widow wants to see how you face the East Qin crown prince." These words woke everyone up from their dreams. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaoyang, who were immersed in their anger, turned cold. What use was there in arguing? Could it be that if they won, she would suddenly appear? Xiao Si, quickly send the order. Return to the palace and gather the palace guards. Have half of them go with the royal guards to find the princess consort. Mo Chuan gave the order again. Chu Xiaoyang's expression became a bit better, but he still looked at Mo Chuan with a questioning gaze. Mo Chuan did not even look at Chu Xiaoyang. He knit his brows and added another sentence. Xiao Si, there's a place we have to go first. We can't miss it. Yes, what place is it? Mo Xiao asked. Mo Chuan did not say anything and just looked over at the East Qin stands. Xiao Si immediately understood. This servant understands. This servant will immediately lead some men to search. Chu Xiaoyang's heart skipped a beat. He had suspected that it was Namu Qo who took Qinning away, but in these past 3 days he had sent quite a few secret guards to investigate the East Qin guest house. He had even sent people to infiltrate the guest house, but he had found nothing. Namu Qo had not taken a single step out of the guest house in the past 3 days. The people he sent to the guest house did not see Namu Qo's figure. According to the East Qin envoys, their crown prince was in closed-door cultivation for the competition in 3 days, so no one was allowed to disturb him. Chapter 754. When Chu Xiaoyang thought of this, he couldn't stay here any longer. Whether it was real or fake, he had to personally see it. Emperor, this minister also wants to go with Xiao Si. And Mo Chuan softly said, "What? Xiaoyang is worried that this one's subordinates aren't doing their job well. So you want to personally supervise them?" Chu Xiaoyang's face turned red. "Emperor, this minister is worried about the princess' safety. All right, since it's like this, you can go with Xiao Si." Mo Chuan nodded, "But you have to remember one thing. You can't disturb the East Qin people. You can only search in secret and don't give them anything to use against you." This minister understands. Chu Xiaoyang turned around and walked off the stage. He had a goal in his heart and his back was straight. He mounted his horse, and Xiao Si followed behind him with his token. After gathering all the royal guards, the two of them rode out of the drill grounds. When the people in the East Qin stands saw this large formation, they all felt it was strange and began to whisper to each other. The West Chu ministers were all very anxious. There was less than an hour left until noon, and the princess consort had disappeared. Even if they want to find her now, how could they find her in time? Chu Xiaoyang and Xiao Si had not even left the field gates when they saw an extraordinary dark horse appear in the distance. The rider on the horse was wearing a black cloak with a golden eagle embroidered on it. It was spreading its wings and looked like it was flying. The wind blew and the golden eagle flapped its wings. It was like it was alive as it fluttered behind that person. Without needing to see this person's face, Chu Xiaoyang knew who this person was. Namu Qo. Chu Xiaoyang's pupils instantly shrank. This was truly enemies meeting and their eyes turning red. His legs tightened as he charged forward. "Your Highness, you can't act rashly. You have to look at the big picture." Xiaoxi reminded him from behind. Chu Xiaoyang angrily tightened the reins, but his eyes were still staring at Namu Qiu without blinking. Namu Qiu was riding on his rare horse. His black clothes made his figure look especially strong and straight. His complexion was very good today. His handsome face was very imposing, looking very spirited. In terms of handsomeness, he could not compare to Chu Xiaoyang, but his overflowing manliness was something that Chu Xiaoyang could not compare to. Namu Qiu completely ignored Chu Xiaoyang and Xiaoxi blocking the road and the dense crowd of imperial guards behind them. Beside him was a gorgeous carriage that was carried on the shoulders of 8 strong East Qin warriors. The carriage was covered in beautiful brocade, and there was a curtain of East Sea pearls hanging in front of it, giving off a lustrous glow under the sunlight. Namu Qiu slightly turned his body as if he was listening to the words of the people in the carriage. There was a trace of a smile at the corners of his thin lips, causing his stiff features to soften. Along the way, they attracted the gazes and discussions of countless commoners. But Chu Xiaoyang's eyes were only looking at Namu Qiu, not noticing the carriage beside him at all. It wasn't until Xiaoxi let out a soft sound beside him. The person in the carriage, could it be the princess consort? Xiaoxi scratched his head with a bit of doubt. Chapter 755. Although he couldn't see anything, not even a blurry figure, he suddenly had a feeling in his heart. It's her. The person sitting in the carriage had to be her. Ninger. Ninger. He couldn't hold it in anymore and urged his horse to charge out. The sound of horse hooves rang out as he charged at the carriage. Your Highness! Your Highness! When Xiaoxi saw this, he was filled with worry. He quickly chased after him, wanting to stop him. But how could he stop the mad tiger like Chu Xiaoyang? Although he couldn't stop him, there was naturally someone who could. Namu Qiu's eyes turned cold as he coldly looked at Chu Xiaoyang charging at him. He slowly pulled out a bow from his back and knocked an arrow. He loudly said, "Stop!" Chu Xiaoyang acted like he didn't hear anything, not to mention a single arrow. Even if it was 1,000 soldiers and 10,000 arrows, they still wouldn't be able to stop him. Your Highness, be careful. Xiaoxi's heart jumped in his throat as he cried out. In an instant, Namu Qiu's fingers loosened and the arrow left the bow. The arrow was like a meteor as it flew at Chu Xiaoyang. With a ping sound, it was the sound of the arrow piercing flesh. Following that, Chu Xiaoyang on the horse fell forward and fell to the ground. Your Highness! Xiaoxi let out a sharp cry as his heart jumped out of his chest. He quickly jumped on his horse and charged in front of Chu Xiaoyang. He jumped off the horse and went to help Chu Xiaoyang, who was lying on the ground. The royal guards went into an uproar. They raised their weapons and quickly surrounded Namu Qiu and the carriage. Only they didn't have orders, so they didn't dare attack. Namu Qiu was surrounded by several thousand royal guards, but he was not afraid at all. He put away his bow and put it back on his back. He said a few words to the people on the carriage before looking up and letting out a loud laugh. That laugh, filled with disdain, made the royal guards filled with anger. Bastard! Without waiting for Xiaoxi to help him, Chu Xiaoyang jumped up from the ground. The arrow did not hit him, but it pierced the horse's throat and the horse fell to the ground dead. Chu Xiaoyang never would have thought that Namu Qiu's target would not be him, but rather the horse he was riding. He was caught off guard and fell to the ground, making a fool of himself in front of the royal guards. How could he not be angry? His eyes were blood red, and he was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. His right hand reached out to his waist, and the spirit snake sword was unsheathed, reflecting the sunlight with a white glow. Your Highness, you can't. He is the East Qin Crown Prince. If you hurt him, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xiaoxi broke out in a cold sweat and fear as he desperately grabbed Chu Xiaoyang's right arm. He could feel that Chu Xiaoyang's body was trembling with anger. Namu Qiu had a smile on his face as he rode his horse to Chu Xiaoyang's side. His tall body blocked a part of the sunlight. He looked down at Chu Xiaoyang with eyes filled with contempt. He narrowed his eyes and gave a laugh. Chu Xiaoyang, you want to fight with this prince? This prince will give you a chance in a bit. Do you dare fight with this prince? Chu Xiaoyang's chest was about to explode with anger. He stuck out his chest and slightly raised his chin, also revealing a look of disdain. Chapter 756. Hehe, very good. Does this mean you agree? Say it again loudly and let everyone hear it clearly. You agree to this king's duel, right? Na Mu Qiuo's eyes sparkled. That's right, this king agrees. If this king is afraid of you, then I am not a man. Chu Xiaoyang loudly said. He already knew that the person in the carriage was Chun Ning. Thinking of how she had been in the hands of this beast-like man for 3 days and 3 nights, he wished he could take out a knife and cut him into 1,000 pieces. No, even if he was cut into 1,000 pieces, he would not be able to erase his pain and hatred. He really wanted to cut off the other side's flesh and feed it to the dogs in front of him. Even if Na Mu Qiuo did not challenge him, he would have found a chance to fight with the other side. Na Mu Qiuo's words were simply what he wanted. All right, Na Mu Qiuo gave another proud laugh. Chu Xiaoyang stared at him, not understanding why he was so proud. Na Mu Qiuo, you can leave, but she can't. He saw Na Mu Qiuo turn his horse around and leave. He suddenly jumped up and stood in front of the carriage, opening his arms wide. Na Mu Qiuo's face sunk, and he said, Chu Xiaoyang, this prince respects you as a king, so I only shot your horse. However, if you dare harass my woman again, I don't mind sending an arrow into your throat. Your woman? Your woman? The one sitting inside is clearly my princess, my woman. Chu Xiaoyang was so angry that his body was trembling. His eyes were about to pop out, and the veins in his fingers popped out. Humph, are you worthy? If you say she is your woman, why didn't she come out to look at you when you were shot off your horse? What makes you say she is your woman? Na Mu Qiuo said with a cold smile. You. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned as black as a pot. Na Mu Qiuo's words were like a knife stabbing into his most painful place. Although Na Mu Qiuo's arrow was fast, it wasn't like he couldn't dodge it. He just didn't dodge it and allowed the other side's arrow to hit his horse. Then he fell off the horse. With his martial arts, he would not fall in this kind of sorry state, so he was deliberately putting on a show. He hoped that when she saw him injured, she would be worried for him and scream for him. But she didn't. The carriage was completely silent, not making a single sound at all. Even Xiao Si came over to help him, but she did not react at all. Less nonsense. Don't block this prince's path. This prince still has important matters to discuss with your emperor. If I miss this time, can you bear the consequences? The royal guard saw that Chu Xiaoyang was fine and did not dare block them. They opened a path for Na Mu Qiuo's group to pass. Chu Xiaoyang turned around. He did not look at Na Mu Qiuo. Rather, he looked at the carriage as he slowly formed a fist. Yi, Yang, his, Yang. He wanted to rush onto the carriage and rip off the thick silk cloth to see if the person inside was her. He, Na. He, Yi, Yang. He could. He was afraid to see her cold and indifferent eyes. He would rather she hate him and view him as an enemy than act like a cold stranger and ignore him. Chapter 757. Na Mu Qiuo protected the carriage and came to the stands. The envoys in the East Qin stands all stood up and bowed to Na Mu Qiuo. Na Mu Qiuo rode on his black horse and looked up, looking at Mo Chuan in the West Chu stands. Then he revealed a smile, revealing his snow-white teeth and revealing a proud smile. Mo Chuan's eyes suddenly became unfathomable, becoming dark and deep. He stared right at the carriage beside Na Mu Qiuo, and he couldn't help using more strength with his right hand on the armrest. She still did it in the end. This girl that didn't let him have a peace of mind. Mo Chuan's heart was filled with an indescribable feeling, and the expression in his eyes became even more complex. His eyes slowly moved away from the carriage and met Na Mu Qiuo's arrogant gaze. Respected Emperor, I have a very important matter to discuss with you. Na Mu Qiuo's right hand pressed against his chest, and he slightly bowed to Mo Chuan, giving him a bow. Mo Chuan gave a slight nod. His eyes were deep and dark, but he did not say anything. Na Mu Qiuo raised his head and looked over the people in the West Chu stands, giving a confident smile. Your Majesty, for today's competition, I, Namu Kyo, admit defeat. There is no need to continue. He raised his voice and said this so that everyone around him could hear him clearly. He even said this in both East Chin and West Chu languages. When his voice fell, the stands on the east and west sides were filled with an uproar. The West Chu ministers all stood up and they all revealed looks of disbelief. Even Empress Dowager Zhou's fingers were trembling as she held Su Jin's hand and stood up, looking down at Namu Kyo. In the entire West Chu stands, only Mo Chuan's expression did not change. He had no expression as he looked at Namu Kyo, not saying a word. Namu Kyo seemed very satisfied with this result. He slightly raised his chin and said in a clear voice, "Not only does this prince admit defeat, there is no need to compete in the next competition. As for the tribute your country sent to my country this year, it can also be waived." The West Chu ministers could not remain calm. Everyone looked at each other and suspected that there was a problem with their ears. If it wasn't that there was a problem with their ears, then there was a problem with the crown prince's head. Although the East Chin envoys were surprised, they all followed the crown prince's lead, so no one had any objections. But the West Chu stands were like a pot of cold water being poured on the oil in a hot pan, instantly exploding. "Lord Liu, hurry up and pinch me. I think I'm dreaming. This isn't real. This isn't real." Chu Xiaobai also had a confused look on his face. He stood beside Mo Chuan and whispered, "Emperor, could he have a trick in the dark? I don't believe Namu Kyo would be this kind and give our West Chu such a large benefit." The corner of Mo Chuan's eyes twitched, and he coldly said, "Of course he wouldn't be this kind." He also raised his voice and said in a clear voice, "Your Highness has given my West Chu such a generous gift. This one represents the West Chu citizens in thanking your Highness. Tonight, this one will hold a banquet in the Cool Breeze Pavilion to thank your Highness again." Chapter 758. When Chu Xiaoyang heard this, his face instantly turned red. He charged into the stands like an arrow and loudly said, "Emperor, you can't agree to his request." He pointed at the step carriage below, wanting to say that the one he wanted was his princess. Mo Chuan raised his hand and interrupted what he was about to say. "King Dingyuan, please calm down and let the crown prince finish speaking." Mo Chuan deeply looked at Namu Kyo and said in a deep voice, "What is the crown prince's request? Why don't you tell me?" Namu Kyo said with a serious expression, "Ever since this prince came to your country's capital city, I have felt the prosperity of your capital city. The people here are different from my East Chin, and I am filled with envy. So this prince wants to have a marriage alliance with your country and choose a girl from your country to be this prince's princess. From now on, my East Chin and West Chu countries will be connected, and we will have friendly relations. What does your Majesty think about this? Marriage alliance? Your Highness meaning is that you want to marry a girl from my West Chu country to be your princess?" The one who spoke was the silent Empress Dowager Zhou. Namu Kyo's words made her eyes light up. If this matter was true, then it would be a joyous matter that would benefit West Chu without any harm. The West Chu ministers were filled with joy. If it wasn't for the country's prestige, they would have started applauding. Hearing the crown prince's words, it was clear that there was someone he liked in West Chu. No matter who it was that the crown prince liked, it was a fortunate matter for West Chu. As long as they sent out a girl, they could avoid a year's worth of tributes, exchanging it for a year of peace for the citizens. This was simply something that could not be found. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned livid and his hands tightly clenched into fists, almost exploding with rage. This was something he had already guessed. From the moment Namu Kyo said this, he had already guessed it. This was plunder. This was pure plunder. Namu Kyo knew that as long as he made this request, he would receive the praise of the entire West Chu country. No one would care about a girl, no matter who she was. Even if she was the West Chu Empress, he was confident that the Emperor would agree to his request. "Respected Empress Dowager, this prince has already said it clearly. I like a girl from your country and want to marry her as my princess. I hope that the Empress Dowager and the Emperor can agree to this prince's request. Namu Qo said in a polite voice as he revealed a bright smile at Empress Dowager Zhou. Impossible. This king will not agree, Chu Xiaoyang said through gritted teeth. His sharp eyes were like arrows as he looked at Namu Qo. Namu Qo's lips curled, and he revealed a cold smile of disdain. He did not even look at Chu Xiaoyang. Your Majesty, do your words count? Or the words of a mere prince count? Hearing this, Chu Xiaoyang's face instantly turned red. He forcefully pointed at Namu Qo and said through gritted teeth, You, King Ding Yuan, this matter has nothing to do with you. You're not allowed to say anything. Mo Chuan coldly stared at Chu Xiaoyang. Xiao Chu said, King, Pop, King Ling, Ding Yuan, if you dare speak any more nonsense, this one will send people to kick you out. Mo Chuan interrupted him again. Chu Xiaoyang hatefully closed his mouth. Of course, he hoped that the girl Namu Qo wanted to marry was not Chen Ning, but that was impossible. Chapter 759. Chu Xiaoyang could not understand. Mo Chuan clearly knew who Namu Qo liked and who he wanted to marry, but how could he act like nothing happened and act like it had nothing to do with him? Could it be that he couldn't obtain her, so he would rather send her to the side of the foreign race's crown prince? Chu Xiaoyang gave a cold laugh in his heart. He really wanted to pull open the bead curtains and let her personally see that the man she liked had this kind of face and this kind of cold heart. He wanted to laugh at her for having eyes, but not seeing, liking an emotionless beast. Your Highness, you are willing to marry my West Chu. With this kind of good intentions, we naturally will not reject it. Only, I wonder which girl your Highness likes. I ask your Highness to say it, and this widow will have the Emperor personally issue a decree for you to marry. Mo Chuan did not even have time to speak before Empress Dowager Zhou took a step forward. Her dragon head cane slightly touched the ground, stopping Mo Chuan from speaking. She spoke with a warm smile to Namu Qo in the stands with a very kind attitude. Mo Chuan's face froze. His lips slightly moved, and he softly called out, Mother! The look of protest in his eyes was very clear. Empress Dowager Zhou turned a blind eye to it. In her heart, she hoped that the girl Namu Qo liked was that girl surnamed Chun. If it really was like this, she would really thank the heavens. If this girl stayed in West Chu, she would forever be a hot potato, a sore spot in her heart that she couldn't resolve. She believed that sooner or later, this girl would bring a large disaster to West Chu. If she could use this heaven-sent chance to send her far away, sending her to East Qin thousands of miles away, this was a good thing that she couldn't obtain even if she prayed to Buddha every day. So she immediately agreed, not giving the emperor a chance to speak at all. The Empress Dowager is willing to help this prince. Namu Qo is filled with gratitude. This girl is currently sitting in the carriage, and this prince will personally bring her out to see the Empress Dowager and the emperor. I thank the two of you for creating a good marriage between us. Namu Qo revealed a smile. He jumped off the black horse and slightly bowed to the carriage as he said, The emperor and the Empress Dowager have already agreed to our marriage. Come out and thank them with me. He only heard a soft "in" sound from the carriage. Although it was only a short note, Chu Xiaoyang could immediately hear it. It was her. He stared at the bead curtain without blinking. He saw a finger like a white magnolia slowly stretch out, and the beads made a crisp sound. It was very pleasant to listen to. What appeared in front of everyone was a head of dark hair, followed by a slim and graceful figure. Her plain white dress fluttered slightly in the wind. The girl slightly lowered her head. Everyone looked from top to bottom, but they could only see her porcelain-like chin. Although they couldn't see her face, just looking at her elegant demeanor, they could feel that she was a stunning beauty. Otherwise, why would the East Qin crown prince choose her out of everyone else? When Chu Xiaoyang's eyes fell onto the girl, it was like his acupuncture point had been poked. He did not move at all, and even his limbs became stiff. He didn't need to see her face. As long as he saw her hair that was like a waterfall, or even a single strand of her hair, he would be able to recognize her. Ninger, come here. Chapter 760. The The girl acted like she did not hear Chu Xiaoyang's words. After walking out of the carriage, she stood in the wind. She was wearing a plain white dress and a large red cloak. That bright red color danced in the wind, just like a strong flame, instantly attracting everyone's attention. She held Namu Qio's extended arm and slowly walked out of the carriage in front of everyone's eyes. Then she stretched out her slender white fingers and combed her hair that had been messed up by the wind before slowly looking up. The surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air. The people in the stands all stared at the girl with their mouths wide open. Everyone had a look of shock and disbelief on their faces. Her clothes were like flying snow. Her eyebrows were like a painting, and under her long and curved eyelashes, there was a pair of jet black eyes that were clear and bright, like they contained all the stars in the sky. The pearl hairpin in her hair was shining brightly under the sunlight, but could not hide her dazzling charm at all. Of course, she was beautiful. But what made everyone's jaws drop to the ground was not her beauty, but rather her identity. 3 days ago, at the same place and at the same time, she was riding on a date red horse, showing her brilliance in the competition with the East Qin Crown Prince. Therefore, everyone present recognized her and had a deep impression of her. Even if they wanted to pretend they didn't know her, they couldn't. Especially the ministers in the West Chu stands, they all had ugly expressions on their faces. They never would have thought that the girl chosen by the East Qin Crown Prince would actually be King Ding Yuan's legal princess, letting the royal family's princess marry into a foreign country. This had never happened before in the West Chu country. Although the East Qin country was stronger than the West Chu country, and the East Qin Crown Prince's status was higher than King Ding Yuan's, the ministers still found it hard to accept. If they had to use their wives to marry into a foreign country, they would rather die than agree. To a man, this was the greatest humiliation. So everyone looked at Chu Xiaoyang, waiting to see what he thought. Don't even think about it. Namu Qio, don't even think about it. Chu Xiaoyang gritted his teeth as he spoke in a low voice. His eyes were fixed on her. From the moment she appeared, his eyes had not left her at all. When she looked up, he found that she had an even more delicate charm than before. Ninger, come here, he said again. His eyes were like a cheetah's, carrying the fierce glow of a wild beast. But his voice was very calm. As long as you come, this king can let bygones be bygones, he said calmly. Yes, as long as she was willing to return to his side, he could pretend that nothing had happened. He didn't care that she was with another man for the past 3 days. He didn't care whether she was innocent or not. He could care about anything. As a man, he felt that he was truly useless and had no future. He was truly sad. He didn't care about anything. But no matter how sad it was, he didn't want to suffer the pain of losing her. Even if she didn't have him in her heart, even if he could only have her, he would accept it. But if others wanted to take her away from him, he would not allow it. He would rather let her die than let her marry the East Qin Crown Prince as his princess. Chu Xiaoyang's fingers trembled in the air as he wanted to grab the East Qin Crown Prince's princess. Chu Xiaoyang's fingers trembled in the air. He wanted to grab her fluttering clothes, but she was too far away and he could not reach her at all. Chapter 761. Ninger! Chu Xiaoyang gave a loud shout as he jumped off the high platform. Stay away from her. Namu Qio's brows knit together as he pulled out the bow on his back, waving it at Chu Xiaoyang in the air. That bowstring made from cow tendons was a very powerful weapon. A gentle twist could break a person's neck. Chu Xiaoyang knew how powerful it was. He could not borrow strength in the air, so his right hand pressed down on the back of the bow, and he borrowed strength to fly away. When he landed on the ground, he was already 10 steps away from her. Namu Qio did not chase. He held his bow like an ancient god of archery, standing in front of Chun Ning in an awe-inspiring manner. Chu Xiaoyang, did you not hear me clearly? The Emperor and the Empress Dowager have already personally agreed to my marriage with An Ning. She is now this prince's princess, so if you dare say a single word of disrespect to her, this prince will not be polite to you. Chu Xiaoyang gritted his teeth. He did not look at Namu Qio as he reached out to Chun Ning once again. Ninger, I know you hate me. You blame me for locking you up and not giving you freedom, but I am too afraid of losing you. Do you really not understand my heart? This heart only has you. I promise you, as long as you don't leave me, I can give you anything, anything you want. I can give you freedom, glory, status, as well as my person and my heart. Isn't that what you've always wanted? I'll give it all to you now. I just want you to come back. Chun Ning just silently stood there. She did not look at him and did not listen to him. Her dark eyes did not even turn to look at him. Chu Xiaoyang's jaw muscles became incomparably stiff, and the hand he reached out froze in the air. In front of over 1,000 pairs of eyes, in front of the East Qin envoys and West Chu ministers, he had already begged her in a low voice, but she did not even look back at him. Did she really hate him this much? Chu Xiaoyang was also very proud and arrogant. He felt that everyone was looking at him with strange gazes, making his face burn. Especially Nam Mu Quo's gaze filled with disdain. It was like a whip slapping his face. But in order to make her change her mind, he took a deep breath and threw away the last bit of pride and self-respect in his heart. Ninger, as long as you come back, even if you want me to die, I will not hesitate. Are you only willing to forgive me after I die? Will you only believe that I truly love you if I dig out my heart and show it to you? Chu Xiaoyang forcefully pulled the clothes in front of his chest, revealing his muscular chest. There was a shining dagger in his hand, and the tip of the dagger was pointed at his heart. With a slight push, blood began to flow down the smooth blade. Your Highness, you can't. Xiaoyang, don't mess around. Put down the dagger. When the surrounding people saw this, they all let out shocked cries. Even Empress Dowager Zhou scolded them. The West Chu ministers all looked at Chun Ning with looks of disdain and contempt. They all looked down on her. This kind of woman, in order to climb onto the East Qin Crown Prince's high branch, she abandoned her husband who loved her as deep as the sea. Chu Xiaoyang, have you gone crazy? You're actually willing to die for a woman. Chapter 762. The eldest princess' feet touched the ground, and she reached out to grab the dagger in Chu Xiaoyang's hand. Chu Xiaoyang's toes touched the ground, and he had already moved 3 feet to the side, avoiding the eldest princess' grab. Royal Aunt, you don't need to stop me. If Ninger really leaves with him, then what meaning is there for me to live in this world? Ninger still doesn't believe that I am sincere, so I'll dig out my heart for her to see. Chu Xiaoyang revealed a faint smile to the eldest princess. His eyes were very sad, filled with deep despair and pain. This gaze immediately conquered the eldest princess. She had always been standing on Chun Ning's side, but seeing Chun Ning stand with the East Qin Crown Prince, this was a fact that she could not accept no matter what. She bit her lips and looked at Chun Ning as she loudly said, Ninger, Xiaoyang is willing to dig out his heart for you. Do you still not believe him? Even if he did something wrong and offended you, isn't this kind of punishment enough? He apologized to you in front of all these people, not even caring about his face as a man. There aren't many men in this world that can have this kind of love. Even this princess husband might not be able to do it. Are you still not willing to forgive him? Could it be that you really like this East Qin barbarian? She did not know that Chun Ning was imprisoned and drugged by Chu Xiaoyang. She only thought that the two of them were quarreling again. In her heart, she hoped that the two of them could reconcile. Even if Chu Xiaoyang was wrong, it was not wrong for him to love her. What she could not understand was that even if Chun Ning did not like Chu Xiaoyang, there was still Mo Chuan. Could it be that her royal brother was not 1,000 times better than that East Qin barbarian? So when she saw Chun Ning come down from the carriage beside Nam Mu Quo, her lungs were about to explode with rage. She wanted to jump down and criticize Chun Ning, but she was forcefully pulled back by Yi Ting Xian, allowing her to endure until now. Chun Ning's eyes finally turned. From the moment she came down from the carriage, she was like a cold statue, standing beside Nam Mu Quo without moving at all. She slowly looked at the eldest princess and gently opened her mouth. Eldest princess, you have always treated me well, very, very well. Even if I leave this place, I will never forget your feelings for me. Her voice was as clear as ever, just like her. But these words only stimulated the eldest princess even more. She only likes you because of your appearance. You have only known him for a few days, and you have already been married to Yi Xiaoyang, so the heavens and earth can witness his feelings for you. What he likes is only your appearance. You've only known him for a few days, and you and Xiaoyang have already been married. His sincerity towards you can be seen by heaven and earth. This princess has never seen him compromise like this in front of any girl, acting so submissive. This is so-called killing someone is as simple as nodding his head to the ground. What do you want him to do in order for you to forgive him? Her words had spoken the words buried deep in Chu Xiaoyang's heart. Chu Xiaoyang looked gratefully at the eldest princess and said in a low voice, "Royal aunt, you really understand your nephew's heart. If Ning could be like you, your nephew would die for her." His words were stuck in his throat, and his eyes were covered in a mist of tears. Chapter 763. Chu Xiaoyang's chest had been stabbed an inch by the dagger, leaving behind a bleeding wound that dyed half his clothes red. The eldest princess took out some ointment. Her heart ached as she helped him stop the bleeding and bandage the wound. Chu Xiaoyang's face was pale, but his back was still straight. He did not care about the bleeding wound on his chest and just stared right at Chun Ning, not blinking at all. But from beginning to end, Chun Ning did not even look at him from the corner of her eyes. Her words were all directed at the eldest princess. Eldest princess, the past Chun Ning did love Chu Xiaoyang, but that Chun Ning is already dead. As for the reborn me, what I feel is not his love, but rather his deep hatred. Let me ask you, how can a woman love a man that has always tortured her and hated her? The eldest princess was stunned. She stopped her hand and looked at Chun Ning in a daze, asking in a puzzled voice, "Hate? Isn't he clearly in love with you?" She had never seen a man's love as strong as Chu Xiaoyang's. He simply used his entire life to love her. It was Chu Xiaoyang's strong and passionate feelings that deeply touched the eldest princess. She was like a raging fire and had a straightforward personality. Her love and hate were very clear. She liked Yi Tingxian and knew that Yi Tingxian also liked her. But in this love, she felt that something was missing. Yi Tingxian's feelings for her were like flowing water. It was as thin as a stream, thin and long, but it lacked that intense fire-like excitement. She longed for someone like Chu Xiaoyang, using his life to love her, making her feel like she was on fire. So, she was filled with envy that Chun Ning could receive love like Chu Xiaoyang. It was because she couldn't get this that when she saw Chun Ning's disdain for it, she was filled with anger for Chu Xiaoyang. Chun Ning closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, her eyes were as clear as water, without any waves. She revealed a faint smile that contained a bit of ridicule. "Love me? Eldest princess, does he really love me?" I vomited blood and fainted, not knowing if I was dead or alive. He did not find a doctor for me or take medicine for me. Rather, he sent me to the wooden hut and left me to fend for myself while he married his beloved woman. When Chun Baiyun tried to harm me again and again, he turned a blind eye and listened, even personally taking action. He kicked me into the lake to drown me, knocked me off my horse to kill me, pushed my head into the water to drown me, broke into my room at night to strangle me. If I wasn't lucky, I would have died many times by his hands. Loving me. In this world, if a woman is loved by a man like this, should I be happy or in pain? Should she be happy or sad? As she spoke, there was silence. Everyone pricked up their ears and listened quietly. Her voice was very calm, but the hearts of the listeners were not calm at all. Everyone was on Chu Xiaoyang's side because his confession was too touching. There were many weak-hearted people that were moved to tears by him. Everyone hated Chun Ning's heartlessness, thinking that she was just a fickle girl. Seeing the East Qin Crown Prince's high status and handsome appearance, she abandoned her husband and threw him away. Who would have thought that the matter between the two of them would be this complicated? Chapter 764. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned red and green. He held it in for a while before finally saying, Ning the reason why I treated you like that was because I loved the wrong person. I didn't know that the person I should have loved was you. Loving the wrong person, what a beautiful phrase. What you've done to me. Can you just say that you've loved the wrong person and you'll be able to shirk all responsibility? Chen Ning gave a cold laugh. She turned around and her cold eyes looked at Chu Xiaoyang. This was the first time she looked at him since coming to the eastern field. Chu Xiaoyang's body trembled and he swallowed the words he was about to say. Chu Xiaoyang, I believed you and gave you a chance. I personally promised you that day that I would return to your side. But what about you? What did you do to me? Her gaze made Chu Xiaoyang involuntarily shiver. He tightly pursed his lips and did not make a sound. Chen Ning looked up and her eyes slowly swept over the people in the stands before falling onto the eldest princess' face. Her clear voice rang out. Eldest princess, do you want to know what happened after the competition? I fainted because I couldn't take it anymore. When I woke up, I found that I was locked in a dark place. It was an underground stone room, and there were 4 ice-cold chains around my wrists and ankles. It was Chu Xiaoyang. He locked me in an underground stone room. He said that he would lock me here for a lifetime. Following that, he gave me a drug that I couldn't even speak of. He wanted me to kneel down and beg him. He wanted me to shatter all my pride and self-respect. He wanted me to kneel at his feet and be his slave for a lifetime. Eldest princess, this is his so-called way of loving me. To be loved by a man like him, is it my fortune or is it my misfortune? Her voice was cold, but everyone's blood began to boil when they heard it. They looked at Chu Xiaoyang with eyes filled with anger and disdain. Was this something a man would do? This was a simply losing face for the men. The eldest princess couldn't hold it in any longer and slapped Chu Xiaoyang's right cheek. After slapping him once, she felt that it wasn't enough. She slapped him again and angrily scolded, Chu Xiaoyang, are you an animal? Are you still a human? Her eyes were already filled with tears. Looking at Chen Ning, her heart was filled with guilt and regret. Ning I didn't know things would be like this. I wronged you, so don't be angry at me. Chen Ning gave a faint smile and shook her head as she said, Eldest princess, I've always been good to you. I will never be angry at you. Chu Xiaoyang's face had been slapped twice by the eldest princess, and it swelled up, making his handsome face look a bit fierce. It made his handsome face look a bit ugly. Chen Xiao O Chen's face. Ning shake Xiao, these 2 slaps were painful. Chen Chu back. Chen Xiao Ning was Xiao, if I didn't love you, why would I do such a crazy thing? He roared with all his might. Chapter 765. Chen Ning shook her head. Her voice was as calm as her expression. She had already seen through Chu Xiaoyang. The so-called love was nothing but a term he used to beautify himself for the sake of possession. Everyone present was stunned hearing this. The several thousand imperial guards and the ministers on the West Chu stands, including Empress Dowager Zhou, Mo Chuan, and Chu Xiaobai, they were all looking at her and listening to her, not missing a single word. No one doubted her words because her expression was calm and her eyes were calm. Although she was talking about her own experience, it was as calm as if she was talking about someone else's story. Chu Xiaoyang was completely defeated by her words. He was speechless and his mind was filled with chaos. Pa! 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 Amidst the silence, a loud round of applause suddenly rang out. Good, well said. On Ning, Namu Qo really did not choose the wrong person. You really make me fall in love with you. Don't worry. As long as you marry me, I'll listen to you and let you decide everything. I won't chain you to the bed. I'll give you the vast sky, let you spread your wings like an eagle, and fly with me. I will give you the status, glory, wealth, power, and everything any woman in the world wants. As long as you want it, I will give it to you. What I have, I will give it to you. What I don't have, I will steal it for you. I don't want anything. I just want you. Namu Qo applauded while his eyes sparkled as he looked at Chen Ning. His brows were raised and his smile was wild. This confession was very direct, without any hesitation at all. Just like his chest, It was very open, and no one doubted the sincerity in his words. Compared to Chu Xiaoyang, Namu Kuo's image was much larger. The eldest princess didn't even want to look at Namu Kuo, but when she heard his words, her expression changed slightly. She finally raised her eyes and looked at him, but she was still not willing. She wanted to hold Chen Ning's hand and persuade her, but Namu Kuo was like a giant mountain between her and Chen Ning, making it impossible for her to pass. Ning, I know this little bastard treats you like this and completely hurts your heart. He is not human. No matter what decision you make, this princess will support you. But you have to think about it clearly. If you really choose to go with the East Qin Crown Prince, you will never be able to turn back. Are you willing to give up your homeland? Are you willing to give up your home? Are you willing to give up the people who love you? The eldest princess' words were very subtle. She wanted to ask her, are you willing to give up Mo Chuan? But in front of countless people, she could not say it, but she believed that Chen Ning could understand what she meant. Ning's heart, Ning, I Chen Namu Chen, I Ning I Ching as I Ching, I Ning I she as I as she as she as she. Ning Yang as I marry I Chen, not as I as I said, I as I Chun. Ning Chun Yang as Yang. I. The eldest princess bit her lips. She didn't agree. Ching won, she won, as. Was. 111. Chen 11. She could see that Chen Ning's heart clearly liked her royal brother and not the East Qin Crown Prince. Chapter 766. But why? Why did the rise and fall of the country have to be sacrificed by a weak girl like her? Could it be that all the men in the West Chu country had died? They watched as Ning fell into the pit of fire, but they didn't reach out to help her. Why? Why were all these men so vicious and cold? There was also her royal brother. Ever since Ning appeared, up until now, he had not said a single word. He hadn't even let out a fart. The eldest princess angrily looked up and hatefully glared at Mo Chuan in the stands. Mo Chuan's expression was very calm from beginning to end. He was indeed looking at Chen Ning, but there was no excitement, no anger, no sadness, and no despair in his eyes. His indifferent appearance almost made the eldest princess' stomach explode from anger. Royal brother, say something. You're the ruler of a country, and your niece-in-law is about to marry someone else as the crown princess. Are you not going to say a single word? The eldest princess had a straightforward temper. She was dissatisfied in her heart, so she didn't care about anything else. If it wasn't for the royal family's face, the words she would have said would have been even worse. Lu, how dare you? How can you speak to the emperor like this? Before Mo Chuan could say anything, Empress Dowager Zhou's face had already sunk as she scolded her. You are just a girl. This matter of the country does not need you to say anything. The emperor knows what to do. Come up here for this widow and obediently sit down. Empress Dowager Zhou glared at her. Mother, come up. Eldest princess and Lu unwillingly walked up to the stands. She walked beside Empress Dowager Zhou, but she couldn't hold it in. She turned around to look at Mo Chuan and blurted out, Royal brother, are you mute or deaf? Why aren't you saying anything? Could it be that you're just going to watch Ning travel tens of thousands of miles to marry to East Qin? Slap. A crisp slap rang out. The eldest princess' eyes opened wide in shock. She looked at Empress Dowager Zhou in a daze, not being able to react for a while. Mother, you hit me? Why did you hit me? Just because your daughter said something no one else dared say? But your daughter wants to say it. Your daughter doesn't accept it. Why are these men taking the country's salary and enjoying the title of a high official? When the country is in trouble, they should be making plans. But when the time comes, these men shrink their necks and don't do anything. Instead, they are pushing Ninger out for a marriage. Why? Her words made the West Chu ministers lose face. They all lowered their heads, and of their hearts filled with shame. They also wanted to help the country and come up with plans, but facing the overbearing East Qin Crown Prince, what good ideas could they have? They could only hold back under the pressure of East Qin. Just now, when they heard that the East Qin crown prince wanted to marry a West Chu girl, they were all secretly delighted. They felt that sending out a girl in exchange for the peace of the country, this was simply a good thing without any harm. However, they had never thought about whether the girl who was sent away would be happy or not, or whether she would feel wronged. But thinking about it again, no matter how unwilling she was sacrificing herself. It was better than sacrificing the happiness of the entire West Chu people. Chapter 767. Although Empress Dowager Zhou had slapped her daughter in anger, she had to admit that the eldest princess' words were a bit reasonable. But compared to the important matters of the country, sacrificing a trivial Chenning was nothing at all. Not to mention she was only the Ding Yuan princess, even if she was the emperor's empress. As long as the East Qin crown prince liked her, she would not hesitate to agree as the empress dowager. Lu, you're not allowed to say another word. If you dare say another word, this widow will send you to the marriage alliance. Empress Dowager Zhou sternly reprimanded. Mother, the eldest princess was so angry that her body was trembling. She had always worshipped her mother, but this was the first time she found that her mother had a strange side that she didn't dare recognize. Princess, don't talk back to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager is doing this for your own good. So if there is anything, naturally the emperor will take care of it. A warm and mellow voice sounded beside her ear. A warm hand held her hand and slowly closed, holding her trembling hand tightly in his palm. The eldest princess turned around and met Yi Ting Xian's gentle eyes. His voice was like a clear spring. Although it was not as strong as fire, it was like a trickle, slowly extinguishing the fire in her heart. She nodded and sat down beside Yi Ting Xian. Holding her chin, she stared down at the stands in a daze. Very good. It seems like the emperor and the empress dowager approve of my marriage with Ning. Before meeting her, this prince never thought that I would meet my destined girl on this trip to West Chu. Only when I met her did this prince know that she was the woman this prince wanted to marry. This prince wants to take her as my only princess. Namu Qiu raised his voice and said these words in both East Qin and West Chu's languages. The audience was completely silent. No one said a word, and everyone just looked at him in a daze. Namu Qiu looked down at the audience. Although he was standing on the ground, his posture was like a king looking down on the world. That kind of arrogance. He took off a black thing from his neck. It looked like an eagle made of pig iron as it spread its wings. This thing looked normal, but when the people of the East Qin stand saw this, their expressions all changed. This eagle is a token passed down in my East Qin country. Ning, I'll give it to you today. From now on, you're my Namu Qiu's woman. Namu Qiu's expression turned serious as he hung the eagle token around Chen Ning's neck. Greetings to the crown princess. The East Qin people immediately gave a tsunami-like shout as they bowed to Chen Ning. Although they were shouting in the East Qin language and Chen Ning couldn't understand them, seeing everyone's respectful expressions, she understood that these East Qin people had already recognized her position. Just as Namu Qiu had said, he had given her glory, favor, nobility, and halo that no one else in the world could hope to achieve. From now on, she became the high and mighty princess of the East Qin country. Even when facing Mo Chuan, she did not need to kneel down. She could proudly raise her head in front of everyone, just like Namu Qiu. She was respected by everyone and enjoyed the attention of everyone. Chapter 768. Your Highness, isn't it a bit too early for you to be happy? Chu Xiaoyang suddenly began to laugh. Under Namu Qiu's dazzling and unparalleled halo, Chu Xiaoyang was dim and had been forgotten by everyone. But with his laugh, he attracted everyone's attention once again. Chu Xiaobai's heart was filled with sadness. Looking at his crazy third brother, he wanted to jump off the stage and drag his third brother far away. Although his third brother had done many wrong things and he hated everything his third brother had done to her, they still had the same blood flowing through their veins. Seeing his third brother in this kind of pain, He couldn't take it. Namu Kuo's eyes finally fell onto Chu Xiaoyang's face. His strong lips curled up, revealing his snow-white teeth as he revealed a smile. Chu Xiaoyang, do you think this prince shouldn't be happy? Chu Xiaoyang's eyes narrowed and a cold glow shot out from his eyes. It was filled with blood and hatred. Your Highness the Crown Prince, you seem to have forgotten something important. She's not your crown princess yet because her current status is this king's legal princess. Before this king divorces her, she will forever be this king's woman. But this king is telling you, I will never divorce her in this life. So you can dream on. Ha 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 ha. He looked into the sky and began to laugh. His laughter was filled with pride and madness. This was the last card in his hand. As long as he held this card, he would not lose her. Hearing this, the West Chu ministers couldn't help looking at him. It was hard to tell if their eyes were filled with pity or disdain. Namu Kuo also began to laugh into the sky. His laughter was even louder than Chu Xiaoyang's, instantly suppressing Chu Xiaoyang's voice. What are you laughing at? Chu Xiaoyang stared at Namu Kuo. I'm laughing at you for not giving up until you reach the Yellow River. Namu Kuo said with a smile, whether she is your princess or not, it is not up to you to decide. Who she belongs to now will depend on this. He raised his right fist and waved it at Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang coldly said, Your Highness, do you want to compete with this king in martial arts? Namu Kuo shook his head and revealed a smile. He was like a wild cheetah staring at its prey. This is not a competition, but rather this prince will openly steal her from your hands. What do you mean? Chu Xiaoyang's eyes turned cold. Chu Xiaoyang, you wouldn't have forgotten so quickly, right? Not long ago you agreed to fight with me. Now is the time. As long as I defeat you, she will be mine. Chu Xiaoyang knit his brows. This king does not understand what nonsense you're saying. Even if this king loses to you, she will never be your person. Namu Kuo placed his hands on his hips and looked at Chu Xiaoyang. He gave a cold laugh. This matter is not up to you to decide. According to our East Qin rules, if I like a girl, even if she is married, as long as I challenge her husband and her husband accepts, the girl will belong to whoever wins. Chu Xiaoyang, you can choose not to accept the challenge, but if you accept it, it means you agree to this rule. If you are ignorant and don't know, this prince believes that your West Chu people wouldn't be as ridiculous as you, right? Chapter 769. You're speaking nonsense. Not to mention there is no such rule. Even if there is, this is our West Chu and not your East Qin. What kind of dogshit rule is this? In our West Chu territory, you have to follow our West Chu rules. Chu Xiaoyang angrily shouted out. He had already faintly realized that this was bad. It was like he had fallen into Namu Kuo's trap. He was like a prey that had fallen into a net, making a last-ditch struggle. Namu Kuo gave a laugh and no longer said anything. He just calmly looked at him, looking like he had a card up his sleeve. Chu Xiaoyang's heart was filled with more and more panic. He suddenly turned around and stared at Yi Tingxian in the stands. Prince Consort Yi, tell this king, is there really such a **T rule? He shouted out, completely forgetting his manners. He only had one thought in his mind right now, which was, that bastard crown prince was trying to find a loophole. He wanted to take her away from him. Yi Tingxian revealed an awkward expression. He gave a soft cough and nodded, not nodding and not nodding. If he nodded, wouldn't he be admitting that the East Qin country's ancient custom was a dogshit rule? But if he didn't nod, it was the same as not acknowledging the truth. King Ding Yuan, the East Qin country does indeed have this custom. They can indeed challenge a girl's husband, but if the girl's husband doesn't accept it, then this custom doesn't exist. His words were implicitly reminding Chu Xiaoyang. His meaning was that His Highness had the right to refuse. As long as he refused, no matter how strong the other side was, they wouldn't be able to steal his princess. Chu Xiaoyang was not an idiot. He naturally understood Yi Tingxian's meaning. But he understood, and his face turned even paler. You tricked me. He viciously glared at Namu Kuo. His eyes turned red, and the veins on his forehead popped out. each word coming out from between his teeth. Namu Kyo gave a clear laugh, and his bright eyes narrowed. He said in an uncaring voice, "That's right. This prince tricked you. Who told you to do all these things that a man shouldn't do? Father doesn't need a foreign race like you to help me with my matters. This prince doesn't care about other people's matters, but this prince cares about Ning's matters. Chu Xiaoyang, do you dare fight this prince? If you don't dare, then it means you admit defeat. Then this prince will openly take Ning away." Namu Kyo crossed his arms and gave a faint cold smile. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He felt like his chest was about to explode from anger as he panted like an angry lion. "Good. If you want to take her away, you have to kill me." After saying this, he suddenly flew up, a long sword that was as soft as a snake in his hand, stabbing towards Namu Kyo's distraction. Namu Kyo pulled Ning behind him and pulled out the iron bow from his back. He knocked away Chu Xiaoyang's sword and revealed a faint smile. "Let's make this clear first. You're not allowed to renege on your debt. Do you really think you can beat this king?" Chapter 770. This was because he had only exchanged one move, and he understood that this East Qin Crown Prince was a strong opponent. Namu Kyo's bow slammed into his sword, causing Chu Xiaoyang's hand to tremble, and the sword in his hand almost flew out. This meant one thing. Namu Kyo's cultivation was deep. It was above his own and not below his. Facing an opponent with such strong martial arts, if he couldn't keep his composure and became impatient, he would lose for sure. If it was a normal competition, he didn't care about winning or losing, but this competition concerned who she belonged to. If he lost, he would lose her forever, so he had to win no matter what. "Chu Xiaoyang, I couldn't see it, but you still have some skills. However, you are still not this prince's match. Since you insist on losing to this prince will play with you and make you sincerely accept your defeat." Namu Kyo gave a wild laugh, just like a hunter playing with his prey. He recognized that Chu Xiaoyang had a treasure sword that could cut through gold and jade, but he was holding a normal iron bow. As long as the other side's sword slashed the back of the bow, his bow would break in half. The most important thing was that a bow and arrow was usually used for long-distance attacks. No one had ever used it as a close combat weapon. Just from the weapon alone, Namu Kyo was at a large disadvantage. But he was bold and skilled, so he didn't care. When Chu Xiaoyang heard the other side's arrogant words, he secretly told himself to remain calm and not fall for the other side's provocation. He was not impatient as he pressed forward step by step. Relying on the strength of his weapon, he slowly gained the upper hand. The two of them moved swiftly, and their clothes fluttered in the wind, fighting inextricably. The people in the stands from both sides had already gathered at the edge of the stands. Watching the two people who were locked in a fierce battle below the field, they could only watch with their hearts trembling. The East Qin envoys were much more relaxed than the West Chu ministers because they knew that their crown prince was invincible. He had fought countless small and large battles and had never lost, so he definitely would not lose this time. The West Chu ministers were so nervous that they couldn't breathe. Each one of them had a very complicated feeling, hoping that Namu Kyo would win and hoping that Chu Xiaoyang would win. If Namu Kyo won, they would be giving away a girl in exchange for a year of peace and security. If Chu Xiaoyang won, it would be the same as slapping the East Qin people in the face, giving them a lot of face. "Emperor, who do you think will win?" Chu Xiaobai stood beside Mo Chuan with tightly clenched fists and cold sweat. He naturally hoped that his third brother could win because if his third brother won, he could make her stay. Otherwise, she would have to travel tens of thousands of miles to marry to East Qin, and he would never see her again in this life. Mo Chuan was also looking at the two people fighting below. When he heard Chu Xiaobai's question, he gave a non-committal unsound. He looked at Namu Kyo and said, "Mo Chu Xiaoyang, Kyo and Mo." Although Namu Kyo and Chu Xiaoyang were fighting, they were far away from her. The wind from their palms did not touch her at all. Chapter 771. In the entire eastern field, almost everyone's eyes were focused on Namu Qo and Chu Xiaoyang's match. Only Mo Chuan's eyes were focused on her. He saw her red cloak flutter in the wind, reflecting a faint pink on her snow-white cheeks. He saw the wind blow her feather-like black hair, brushing past her face. He suddenly wanted to help her tuck it behind her ears. He also saw that her eyes were like water, staring blankly at a flagpole that was being blown by the wind. She did not pay attention to the two people fighting in the field, and there was no sorrow or anxiety between her brows. There was only calmness and indifference. She did not seem to care who won or lost, nor did she care who her fate belonged to. She was just immersed in her own thoughts. And Mo Chuan really wanted to ask her what she was thinking right now. However, his identity restricted his footsteps. He could only stand motionlessly on the stage and quietly stare at her. Just a bit more, and third brother's sword would have pierced Namu Qo's right arm. It's a pity he dodged it, truly a pity. Chu Xiao by beside him suddenly gave a regretful cry and stomped his feet, causing Mo Chuan, who was staring at Chen Ning, to come back to his senses. Mo Chuan looked at the field, and the situation became very clear. Because of the treasure sword in his hand, Chu Xiaoyang was gaining the upper hand. Namu Qo could only dodge and did not have the ability to fight back at all. Xiao Bai, do you really want your third brother to win? Mo Chuan softly said. Chu Xiao Bai gritted his teeth, not knowing how to reply. His heart was filled with contradictions. Seeing his third brother gain the upper hand, he couldn't help being secretly happy, because if his third brother won, she could stay in West Chu and he could see her from time to time. But if she really stayed, his third brother would lock her up in chains and lock her up like a prisoner, making her lose her freedom and happiness forever. Like this, would she still be happy? If it was like this, it would be better for Namu Qo to win and take her far away. Although she would be tens of thousands of miles away and they would never meet again, in that vast prairie, she would be able to fly freely like an eagle. Freedom and being unrestrained, this was what she wanted. She would be happy with these two things, so why did he have to keep her by his third brother's side and make her suffer for the rest of her life? I want Namu Qo to win. Chu Xiao Bai said word for word. Oh, Mo Chuan was a bit surprised and turned to look at him. He saw the determined expression on the young man's face and guessed what he was thinking, so he couldn't help giving a slight nod. Then what about the emperor? Who do you want to win? Chu Xiao Bai suddenly turned his head and looked right at Mo Chuan, asking in a straightforward and bold manner. Mo Chuan avoided his aggressive gaze and turned his head in a non-committal manner. This was a question that he could not answer and could not answer. No matter who won or who lost, she would never be his. Your Majesty, please forgive Xiao Bai for saying something disrespectful. Your actions today have greatly disappointed me. Chu Xiao Bai spoke again, but this time he used a secret sound transmission. His lips slightly opened, and only he and Mo Chuan could hear him. Mo Chuan's back turned stiff. He did not turn around and did not say a word. Chapter 772. He gathered his courage and continued to say, although I despise third brother's actions, his performance today was very courageous because he could protect his beloved girl and fight against the East Qin Crown Prince. No matter if he wins or loses, I still admire him. But what about the Emperor? You didn't say anything from beginning to end. If third brother didn't make a move, would you just watch her leave with the East Qin Crown Prince? The Empress Dowager even told you to personally decree their marriage. Are you really prepared to personally write the decree? Chu Xiao Bai had been holding it in for a long time. He had been holding it in for a long time. He knew that these words were very disrespectful, and if he angered the emperor, he would lose his head. However, he also knew that the emperor would not kill him because the emperor was a wise ruler. It was because he wanted to be a wise ruler that he had many worries. He had to make a choice between the country and his personal affairs. It wasn't that Chu Xiao Bai didn't understand this, but he couldn't help it. He was still young and did things based on his passion and impulsiveness, not being as thorough as Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan turned around and took a deep look at him. He was once young and was as hot-blooded as Chu Xiaobai, so he understood Chu Xiaobai's feelings, but he couldn't return to his past self. This was because his current identity was the emperor, and he had things he couldn't do. These things were things that Chu Xiaobai would never understand. The only thing he could do right now was remain silent. Xiaobai, what do you think I should do? His lips slightly opened, and he also used a secret sound transmission technique. Moreover, he changed the way he called himself from this one to I, meaning that Chu Xiaobai did not need to care about his identity as the emperor and could speak freely. If third brother loses, you should personally make a move and steal her back. Chu Xiaobai blurted out without any hesitation. Your meaning is that your third brother will lose? Mo Chuan looked at the two people fighting in the field. Chu Xiao Yang's sword flashed, one sword after another, firmly trapping Namu Qiu in a net of swords. Namu Qiu became more and more clumsy, not being able to move at all and showing signs of defeat. The longbow in his hand had already been cut by Chu Xiao Yang's sword, and Chu Xiao Yang couldn't help revealing a proud smile. When Chu Xiaobai saw this, he gave a heavy nod. That's right, third brother is not Namu Qiu's opponent. In less than 10 moves, Namu Qiu will begin his counterattack. He is purposely acting weak in order to bait third brother into using his full strength. Then he will see through the flaws in his sword art and kill him in one strike. That's right, Xiaobai, your eyes are very accurate. Namu Qiu's martial arts is better than Xiao Yang. Then Emperor, if third brother loses, will you make a move? Chu Xiaobai stared right into Mo Chuan's eyes and asked without relaxing. Mo Chuan calmly looked at him and replied, no. Why? Chu Xiaobai tightly gritted his teeth. Prince made. She made. Yang didn't ve of Mu God she made, she said. Su. Chen Prince of Chu Xiaobai did not understand, so he followed Mo Chuan's gaze in confusion. Her expression was as calm as Mo Chuan's, as calm as water without any waves. Could it be that she had already made up her mind to leave West Chu? Chapter 773. Win. Win. Almost one more move, and Xiao Yang will win. The eldest princess finally let out a long sigh of relief, and her tightly knit brows relaxed. Even if Chu Xiao Yang was wrong, she still hoped that Chu Xiao Yang could win. Empress Dowager Zhou's face sunk. At this time, even people who didn't understand martial arts could see that Chu Xiao Yang had completely suppressed Namu Qiu. His sword glowed like a rainbow, and there was only a flash of white light. Not even Namu Qiu's figure could be seen. This was because his entire body was surrounded by Chu Xiao Yang's sword glow, and he couldn't escape. A relieved smile appeared on the face of the eldest princess. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaobai looked at each other, and both gave a sigh in their hearts. The two of them did not say anything and turned to look at Chu Xiao Yang. At this moment, the situation on the field suddenly changed. Chu Xiao Yang was high-spirited. The spirit snake's sword in his hand seemed like it was alive as it released 9 plum blossoms, stabbing at Namu Qiu's face. This move was fake and real, real and fake. It was hard for people to tell which sword was real and which sword was fake. He wanted to leave a mark on Namu Qiu's face and teach him an unforgettable lesson. Good move. Namu Qiu's voice suddenly sounded like thunder as he let out a loud roar. He was already in a difficult situation, but he suddenly pulled out an arrow from his back. He knocked the arrow, and at this critical moment, with his shio sound, he shot out an arrow. Chu Xiao Yang never thought that at this close distance, Namu Qiu would actually shoot an arrow. Moreover, the target of the arrow was not him at all, so he couldn't help being a bit stunned. The sword in his hand did not stop at all as it continued to stab at Namu Qiu like a poisonous snake. Zheng! A loud metal clashing sound rang out, and sparks flew in all directions. In that split second, Chu Xiao Yang felt his wrist tremble as a large force charged at him. He could no longer hold the sword in his hand, and it flew out of his hand, flying into the air. Namu Qiu's arrow was aimed at the tip of his sword. The arrow and sword tips collided in the air, creating sparks. At the same time, The large impact from the arrow sent Chu Xiaoyang's sword flying. Chu Xiaoyang felt his throat tighten as Namu Quo's bowstring had already caught him. Namu Quo dragged him, and he couldn't help falling to the ground. He fell flat on his face with his butt in the sky, looking very unsightly. The East Chin stands erupted with thunderous cheers and strange cries. Everyone saw Chu fall in such a sorry state, and they broke out in laughter. Namu Quo placed his bow on the ground and looked down at Chu Xiaoyang, giving a long laugh. "You've lost," he said bluntly. Chu Xiaoyang's throat was tightened by the bowstring, and he couldn't move as he laid on the ground. His face was already purple, and it was hard for him to breathe, so he couldn't speak at all. He closed his eyes, his heart filled with despair. Yes, he had lost. He had suffered a crushing defeat. "Your Highness, since you've already won, let go of my third brother." Chu Xiaobai jumped down from the stands and went to support Chu Xiaoyang lying on the ground. "Your Highness, since you've already won, let go of my third brother." Chu Xiaobai jumped down from the stands and went to support Chu Xiaoyang on the ground. Chapter 774. Chu Xiaobai raised his head and angrily said, "Killing someone is nothing. My third brother is already lost. What else does your Highness want?" He was so angry that his chest was heaving up and down. Although he had already expected Chu Xiaoyang to lose, he never thought he would lose in this kind of sorry state. Especially seeing Namu Quo deliberately humiliating his third brother in front of everyone. He could not take it anymore. Namu Quo proudly said, "He has lost, so he has to follow the rules of losing." He raised his head and looked right at Imo Chuan. "Your Majesty, I've heard that your country's rules say that if a man is dissatisfied with his wife, he can write a divorce letter. Today, this prince wants your Majesty to make the decision and have Aning personally write a divorce letter, divorcing this heartless Chu Xiaoyang. I wonder if your Majesty will agree." Once he said this, it was like throwing a giant stone into a calm lake. It instantly set off a large wave in the West Chu stance. The ministers couldn't help discussing with each other. This crown prince is too overbearing, actually making this kind of rude request. There are only men divorcing their wives in this world. How could there be a woman divorcing her husband? Unreasonable, simply unreasonable. Emperor, you can't agree to his rude request. He is clearly humiliating King Ding Yuan. Imo Chuan's face sank as the ministers surrounded him discussing. No matter how much they didn't get along with Chu Xiaoyang normally, they were all West Chu citizens, so how could they not resist being bullied by an East Chin person? Chu Xiaobai couldn't help looking at Chen Ning. His heart was clear. He knew that this request was made by Chen Ning. He just never thought that she would hate his third brother to this degree. Her actions were simply throwing his third brother's face to the ground. There had never been a precedent of divorcing a husband in West Chu. Was today going to be an exception? As for his third brother, was he going to be publicly divorced by Ning? To his third brother, this was a great shame. From now on, how would he have the face to stand in front of others? His lips slightly moved, wanting to persuade her, but when he thought of his third brother's actions, he swallowed all his words back into his stomach. His third brother only had himself to blame. Woo woo woo. Chu Xiaoyang could not say anything, but his ears could clearly hear it. His lungs were about to explode from anger, and his face was so red that it seemed like it was about to drip blood as he desperately struggled. Namu Quo looked down at him and kicked him with his right foot. He flipped him over and faced him. He slightly loosened the bowstring in his hand and said with a cold smile, "What? Do you have something to say?" Chu Xiaoyang finally sucked in a breath. Half his face was covered in dust, and his eyes were filled with hatred as he stared at Namu Quo Chu. "You want to divorce this king? Don't even think about it." He spat. "Loser, what right do you have to say no?" Namu Quo gave a disdainful smile and looked up at Mo Chuan. "Your Majesty, according to the rules of the competition, this prince has won, so this prince will take away the woman that belongs to me. However, her current status is Chu Xiaoyang's wife, so this prince will restore her freedom and let her divorce her husband. If your Majesty does not agree, Then this prince can only take care of it myself. What do you mean? Chu Xiaobai asked with a cold expression. Chapter 775. Emperor, he is using King Ding Yuan's life to threaten you. You can't agree. The ministers in the stand were filled with rage as they angrily glared at Namu Qiuo. If the respected West Chu king was divorced by his own princess, not only would it be a humiliation to Chu Xiaoyang, it would also be a humiliation to them as men. In this era where men were superior to women, none of them could accept this. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart skipped a beat. Divorcing her husband was not a humiliation to her. Why was it that only men could divorce women and women couldn't divorce men? If she agreed to Namu Qiuo and let Chun Ning divorce Chu Xiaoyang, the two of them would have nothing to do with each other. She could send away this burning hot potato, and she would have less to worry about. But seeing the angry looks on the ministers' faces, she couldn't openly agree to divorcing her husband. Oh, the minister's meaning is that we can't let the King Ding Yuan princess divorce her husband? Mo Chuan looked around and saw everyone nodding. Then your meaning is that we should let King Ding Yuan die? He softly said. The ministers looked at each other in blank dismay. Their expressions were filled with surprise. Hearing the emperor's words, it seemed like he agreed to divorcing her husband. But how was that possible? Emperor, in the several hundred years since the West Chu kingdom was founded, there has never been a precedent of divorcing one's husband. If this precedent is set, I'm afraid all the women in the capital city will follow suit. What face would we men have left? That's right, Emperor, please reconsider. We can't set this precedent. The ministers all spoke out, standing on the same front, swearing to defend the dignity of their men. How could Mo Chuan not understand that these ministers all had the same thoughts? As long as this precedent was set, their wives and concubines would rebel. Then is your face more important, or King Ding Yuan's life more important? Come and give this one an idea, Mo Chuan said without batting an eyelid, throwing this problem to the ministers. Everyone looked at each other in blank dismay and lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound. How could they have the courage to make a decision for the emperor? Not to mention this matter was related to Chu Xiaoyang's life. If they insisted on not divorcing their husband and angered the East Qin crown prince, the other side would tighten their bowstrings and King Ding Yuan would die. Then this black pot would fall onto their shoulders. Empress Dowager Zhou would not forgive them. The emperor would not forgive them. And King Jing, and who had a deep relationship with King Ding Yuan, would not forgive them. Thinking like this, who would dare have any objections? Your Majesty, you are wise and far-sighted. Your decision will definitely be the most correct. This matter should naturally be decided by your Majesty. The smart minister already saw through Mo Chuan's intentions and quickly spoke up to greet him. Yes. Emperor, you could decide. Actually, divorcing your husband is not a big deal. King Ding Yuan is so heartless towards his princess, it really makes people angry. He should be divorced. If we don't divorce King Ding Yuan, we won't be able to calm the anger of the women of the world. This minister also supports the princess divorcing her husband. Ding Chun King Ding Yuan is not the anger of the women. They were just small arms. How could they resist the emperor's thick thighs? Since it was like this, why didn't they follow the emperor's heart? Although Chu Xiaoyang was under the high platform and couldn't move under Namu Qiuo's control, he still heard every single word of the ministers in the stands. Hearing everyone's words, all supporting Chun Ning divorcing her husband, he was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Chapter 776. Bastard, this king has been a minister with you all for so many years, but I never thought that you would all be a group of cowards. Adding insult to injury, despicable and shameless. Chu Xiaoyang angrily cursed out. What elegance, what etiquette, he didn't care about anything at all. Some vulgar and dirty words kept coming out of his mouth. The ministers in the stands were all stunned. They didn't think that when a usually noble and elegant prince cursed people, he would be like a third-rate hoodlum in the marketplace. He wasn't noble at all. I never thought that a dignified king would use such vulgar words to curse people. It seems like when the princess was by his side, she must have suffered a lot of abuse. Emperor, this old minister supports divorcing her husband. She must divorce him. The ministers all stood on Chun Ning's side and supported divorcing her husband. Mo Chuan gave a slight nod and said, "Since everyone agrees with the princess divorcing her husband, then this one cannot go against everyone's wishes." "All right, Your Highness, this one agrees. The princess can personally write the divorce letter and divorce King Ding Yuan." Hearing this, the ministers all looked at Mo Chuan with wide eyes and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "What do you mean you can't go against everyone's wishes? Isn't this clearly the emperor's idea? You just want to borrow everyone's mouths to say it. Now you're saying that divorcing your husband is our idea. When King Ding Yuan explodes in anger, he will blame this bad debt on us and find trouble with us." But the emperor's words were like gold and jade. No matter how much the ministers criticized in their hearts, they did not dare say it out loud. They could only swallow this bitter fruit in secret. Chu Xiaoyang's face was so dark that it could drip water. Anger, shame, anger, and all kinds of emotions filled his chest. He did not want to think of anything else. He just wanted to bang his head against the wall and die. He was a dignified king with a high status and noble identity, but he was actually being divorced by his princess? This was simply a joke as large as the heavens. A joke that no one would believe if it was said. But this joke was becoming a reality. If he was really divorced by Chun Ning, he would become the laughingstock of the West Chu country. He would be the first man to be divorced by his wife, and everyone would laugh at him. "Namu Kuo, kill me, kill me. If you want her to divorce me, I would rather die." He gritted his teeth as he stared at Namu Kuo. He gave a low roar like a lion that had fallen into a trap. Namu Kuo looked down at him and slightly narrowed his eyes before breaking out in laughter. "Chu Xiaoyang, you never thought this day would come when you tortured her. Now it's time for you to pay the price for your actions. You humiliated me like this just to help her vent her anger, right? You are doing this for her, right?" Chu Xiaoyang angrily shouted. Chapter 777. On Ning, the emperor has already agreed. Write the divorce letter and divorce him. Namu Kuo waved at Chen Ning. Chen Ning stood far away, as if everything that had just happened had nothing to do with her. But everyone knew in their hearts that everything Namu Kuo had done today was all for her. The West Chu people looked at her with very complicated feelings. They didn't know if they should thank her or hate her. After all, because of her, the East Qin Crown Prince had given up on the next two competitions and waived a year's worth of tributes from West Chu. This was a good thing for the West Chu people. But she had Namu Kuo humiliate Chu Xiaoyang in front of everyone. This was equal to slapping everyone's face, making the ministers unable to raise their heads with burning faces. In front of everyone's complicated gazes, Chun Ning did not seem to notice. She wore a plain red cloak and had a graceful figure. Her face was as white as snow, and her hair was like fog as she walked towards Chu Xiaoyang step by step. Ning-er, the anger in Chu Xiaoyang's heart unknowingly disappeared. He looked at her in a daze, not willing to blink. In these 3 days of searching without rest, he had thought that she had died countless times. He blamed himself to the point that he could no longer live, but now she had appeared in front of him. She was still that beautiful, and he couldn't move his eyes away. "Ning-er, tell me, have you been that man?" Chu Xiaoyang's words suddenly stopped. This was because he saw Chun Ning's eyes suddenly turn into 2 sharp arrows that shot right at him, making him choke on his words. That's right. What face did he have to ask her this? It was clearly him who drugged her, even if she was really. She couldn't be blamed. It was all his fault. "I'm sorry, Ning-er, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you like that," he said in a dejected voice, just like a rooster that had lost a fight. Namu Kuo gave a cold laugh. "It's too late to admit your mistakes now. Someone, bring a pen and paper." Someone beside him immediately brought over a pen and paper. "On Ning, write it immediately and divorce this man that is not a man." Namu Qo handed the pen and paper to Chun Ning. Chu Xiaoyang's face was like ash. He stared right at Chun Ning and forcefully gritted his teeth. Ning, do you really want to leave me? You really don't have any feelings for me? In the past, it was clearly you who wanted to marry me. Why did you give it to me? Why did you give it to me? What do you think I am? A random rag? How could you be so cruel? You is with a woman without a heart. This prince's kindness to you has all been fed to dogs. Chun Ning looked at him. There was no hatred in her eyes. There was only a faint disgust and a trace of pity. Until now, he still didn't know what he had done wrong, so he pushed all the blame onto her. Ning. So, Ning. She picked up the pen and wrote it down without hesitation. In a moment, a divorce letter had been completed. Ning, Chun with Ning Chun. Writer, Chun Ning, the eldest daughter of the country protecting Duke Shen Fong, married King Ding Yuan Chu Xiaoyang by imperial decree. However, Chu Xiaoyang's morals are lacking and his actions are improper, so she has written this divorce letter, divorcing her husband Chu Xiaoyang. From now on, the man and woman will be married and will never be related. Chapter 778. After Chun Ning finished reading the divorce letter, she raised her head and looked around. Then she said in a clear voice, "Everyone here today is a witness. I, Chun Ning, will divorce my husband Chu Xiaoyang today. From now on, Chu Xiaoyang and I will go our separate ways. We will have nothing to do with each other." After saying this, she raised the divorce letter in her hand. The paper gently fell from the air and landed beside Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes widened. He stared at the black and white divorce letter, and his body began to tremble. Even at this moment, he still could not believe that he had been divorced. He had actually been divorced, and it was in front of thousands of people. He had never experienced this kind of humiliation before. This was simply more unbearable than dying 10,000 times. His teeth began to creak as he suddenly raised his head. His eyes filled with anger as he stared at Chun Ning. His eyes seemed like they were about to burst into flames. If he could move, he would have strangled her without any hesitation. How much he had loved her before. How much he hated her now. All the love he had for her had turned into hatred. He hated her. He really hated her. He tasted the taste of blood in his mouth. He had unknowingly bitten his own tongue. Very good. Very good. Chun Ning, the humiliation you've given me today, I will make you pay it back in the future. Chun Ning, just you wait. That day will come. Chu Xiaoyang opened his mouth and silently laughed. Blood flowed from the corner of his lips, making his handsome face look even more terrifying. Third brother, don't be like this. You, stop laughing. Chu Xiaobai stared at this scene without blinking, but he did not say a word. What could he say? He could not say anything. Although he supported Chun Ning leaving Chu Xiaoyang, he never thought that she would use this kind of intense method to leave. That divorce letter was equivalent to peeling off his third brother's face and throwing on the ground for everyone to step on. He understood Chu Xiaoyang, and he knew what his third brother cared about the most. That was his face. Chun Ning had publicly divorced her husband, causing his third brother's face to fall. How could his third brother not hate her to the extreme? When his third brother hated a person, that cruel method of revenge made him tremble just thinking about it. He began to worry for Chun Ning, especially when he saw third brother laughing soundlessly while bleeding from the corner of his mouth. His heart clenched. After Chu Xiaoyang finished laughing, he said while gasping for breath, "Very good. Chun Ning, you've divorced me, so we'll be strangers from now on. Can you tell your man to let me go?" He quickly recovered from his crazy state, but the more it was like this, the more worried Chu Xiaobai was. Third brother, he's not normal. He would definitely take extreme measures to take revenge on her. Chun Ning did not even look at Chu Xiaoyang. She looked up and said to Namu Qo, "Ah Qo, let him go." A Qo. Hearing this name, Chu Xiaoyang's bloodthirsty eyes became even darker. He cracked a smile and said, "Ah Qo, what an intimate name. Chun Ning, you've been with him for a long time, right?" Had they slept together before? Even if this prince didn't drug you, you would have already climbed into his bed, right? This king still treats you like a treasure, cherishes you, loves you, and can't bear to force you. If I knew that you were a woman who could sleep with anyone, this king would not have shown mercy to you. This king should have had a taste of you a long time ago. Chapter 779. Third brother, don't say any more. Your words are too ugly. How can you use these kinds of words to scold Ning? Chu Xiaobai's face turned red hearing this, and he was stunned. If he didn't see it with his own eyes and hear it with his own ears, he would not have believed that such vulgar words would come from his third brother's mouth. There were many vulgar words he had never heard before. Ugly? Her actions are even uglier than my words. Why don't you help me scold her? Chu Xiaobai, if you are my brother, and if you still think of me as your third brother, then help me scold this shameless slut. Chu Xiaoyang said with a dark face. Chu Xiaobai's face turned from red to white. He was breathing heavily as he stared at Chu Xiaoyang. Third brother, shut up. If you dare scold her one more time, I'll hit you. Ha, you'll hit me? Chu Xiaobai, you want to hit me for this woman? Don't you know who I am? You are your third brother. Who is she to you? She just divorced me. So, she's just a passerby that has nothing to do with you. Chu Xiaobai, did you also go to bed with her? Otherwise, why would you protect her like this? Not only you, there is also the emperor. He did not even finish because Chu Xiaobai suddenly waved his hand. Pa! A heavy and loud slap landed on Chu Xiaoyang's face. Chu Xiaoyang's words came to an abrupt stop. His eyes popped out as he looked at Chu Xiaobai in disbelief. Chu Xiaobai, you're crazy. You dare hit me. He angrily roared out as he desperately struggled, wanting to charge forward. He was truly mad with anger. The little brother that had been close to him since he was young had actually hit him for a woman. Namu Qiuo knit his brows. If it wasn't for him controlling the bowstring, Chu Xiaoyang would have already charged out like a mad dog. Chu Xiaoyang, I did hit you because you deserved a beating. I wanted to fiercely beat you for a long time, but because you are my blood-related brother, I couldn't do it. But listen to the words you used to scold her. Is that something a man should say? Third brother, I have admired and respected you since I was young, but the things you've done have disappointed me time and time again. You are not fit to be my third brother, because you're not a man with courage and responsibility at all. Chu Xiaobai's young face turned red from excitement. He straightened his back, and the words he had been suppressing in his heart flowed out like a stream. His scolding made Chu Xiaoyang stunned, and he did not reply for a moment. Chu Xiaobai took a breath and took a step forward. He righteously looked at Chu Xiaoyang and continued to say, Chapter 780. Third brother, if you are a man, then stand up for me. Don't act like a dog that can't afford to lose. Acting like this will only make Ning, and everyone else look down on you even more and look down on you. If you really love her, then prove it to her. If you really are a man, you have to be able to lose and let it go. You can lose her today, but that doesn't mean you can't win back her heart in the future. Third brother, this is all I have to say. You're on your own now. After Chu Xiaobai said this, he took a deep look at Chu Xiaoyang before leaving without looking back. He did not walk onto the stands. Rather, he kept walking until he walked out of the East Field's gates. The sunlight shined down on his snow-white robe, and his body was covered in a golden glow, making him look very dazzling. At this moment, everyone's eyes were following his figure, because his words were too beautiful, too straightforward, and said what almost everyone present wanted to say. There were clearly several thousand people here, but it was completely silent. Namu Qiuo kept staring at Chu Xiaobai's back until he couldn't even see his shadow anymore. Then he turned around and gave Chun Ning an emotional sigh. Ning, it's a good thing you didn't marry him in the past. I never thought that a person like Chu Xiaoyang would have this kind of brother. This brat is amazing. Namu Qiuo rarely admire people, but this brat has truly made me admire him. Chun Ning watched Chu Xiaobai leave without looking back. She suddenly felt that this white-clothed youth had grown up overnight. She had always treated him like a little brother, but the words he said just now made her eyes suddenly wet. This was the first time she felt that she did not understand Chu Xiaobai at all. His inner world was much richer and more beautiful than she had imagined. He walked so naturally, so beautifully, and the words he said were even more powerful and resonant, making people want to applaud and cheer for him. Namu Qo was right. He was no longer that childish-faced youth. He had transformed into a youth that people admired and admired. In the stands, Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help saying to Mo Chuan beside her, "Emperor Xiao Bai is grown up." Mo Chuan nodded. He looked in the direction Chu Xiao Bai left with a deep gaze. That's right, it was like this was the first time he met Chu Xiao Bai, and he was deeply shocked by his words. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned red and white. He tightly pursed his lips and did not say a word, but he had already lost his arrogance. He was no longer angry or roaring. He had suddenly calmed down. He opened his eyes wide and looked at the blue sky above him. Seeing the golden sunlight fall on his body, his face slowly calmed down. Namu Qo looked at him and raised his right hand. He put away his bow and coldly said, "Chu Xiaoyang, stand up. If you are a man, then stand up. Don't lie down." Chu Xiaoyang slowly stood up from the ground. He did not look at Namu Qo. Rather, he looked straight at Chen Ning. He looked at her. Chen Ning hesitated for a bit. She turned to look at him and did not say a word. The madness and anger on Chu Xiaoyang's face had completely disappeared. Although his face was covered in dirt, his eyes were shining, as if he had returned to his normal appearance. It was like he was a completely different person from the mad dog from before. Chapter 781. Chen Ning calmly looked at him and shook her head. "No, I don't hate you. From now on, I no longer have anything to do with you. Chu Xiaoyang, I hope that all the grudges between us can be resolved with that divorce letter. I won't hate you because hating a person takes a lot of energy and energy. I don't have that much energy to hate you, so I will forget about you. I will forget all the memories related to you and never think about it again." Chu Xiaoyang's body heavily trembled. He finally understood that losing a person wasn't when they left his side and never looked back, but rather when they pulled him out of her heart, not leaving a single trace. This was true sorrow. His heart was filled with intense pain. Chu Xiaobai's words flowed through his heart, and he admitted that everything he said was right, but there was one thing that was wrong. That was that his feelings for her were real. He used all the energy in his body to love her, but he really didn't know how to love her. His possessiveness was stronger than his emotions, pushing her further and further away until she completely left him. The more he wanted to have her, the more he lost her. Chu Xiaoyang felt like there was a large hole in his chest that was dripping with blood, but no one could see it. Only he knew. Losing her, what could he use to fill the hole in his chest? Perhaps he would never be able to fill it. Ning, even if you forget about me in the future and never remember a person like me, I will never forget you. Wait for me. Wait for me to learn how to love someone. Then I will come back to find you. Xiaobai is right. I shouldn't give up like this. I lost you today, but I will definitely win back your heart in the future. Chu Xiaoyang bent over to pick up the divorce letter covered in dirt and dust. He gently brushed away the dust on it. He opened it and read it word by word before carefully folding it. It was like he was holding a precious treasure as he solemnly placed it in his chest. I will keep this divorce letter. When it appears in front of you, that will be the time I come back to find you. Ning, I wish you happiness. After Chu Xiaoyang said this, he waved his sleeves and raised his head. His feet gently tapped the ground, and his figure floated several feet away. In the blink of an eye, his figure disappeared from everyone's eyes. East Qin and West Chu were connected by marriage, becoming the Qin Jin kingdom and the citizens being exempted from a year's worth of tributes. This matter that was very beneficial to West Chu was settled like this. But the West Chu people's hearts were filled with an uncomfortable feeling. They felt like there was a giant stone pressing down on their hearts, making them unable to raise their heads. especially when facing Chen Ning. They all felt ashamed in their hearts. The one feeling the most guilty was Empress Dowager Zhou. She admired Chen Ning, and it wasn't that she didn't like her, but she was more anxious than anyone else to send her far away. Only when she left would her son's heart slowly come back. Under her guidance, he would become a good and obedient emperor. He would marry another girl to become his empress, giving birth to a prince with West Chu, and make West Chu stronger. All of this was not something that the girl surnamed Shun could give him. Empress Dowager Zhou was very satisfied with the result of this matter. What she was most worried about was that the emperor's son would do something that would disgrace the country and the royal family. Chapter 782. You've been in the capital city for several days, but you've been busy, so you haven't had a good look at the scenery of my capital city. Now that your wish has been fulfilled and you have a lover by your side, you can have a good look at my West Chu. Ning is smart. Just like a flower, this widow likes her very much. If your highness is not in a rush to return to the country, this widow wants Ning to stay with this widow for a few more days. After all, it's tens of thousands of miles away, and once she marries to East Qin with you, it would be unknown when this widow will see her again. When Empress Dowager Zhou finished speaking, Mo Chuan's body froze. He turned to look at Empress Dowager Zhou, and his eyes flashed with a clear light. Empress Dowager Zhou's words were filled with love and affection for Chen Ning, as if she really wanted Namu Qiuo to stay for a few more days. However, her true meaning was to wake Namu Qiuo up, letting him leave the capital city with Chen Ning and return to East Qin as soon as possible. Mo Chuan gave a bitter smile in his heart. Mother, mother, you really are considerate. You guard your son like he's a thief, but you're in a rush to send her away? You also know that it's tens of thousands of miles away, and once she leaves, you won't be able to see her again, but you can't even wait a few days. Isn't your heart a bit too cruel? But these words only lingered in his heart, and he did not say a single word. He couldn't fall out with Empress Dowager Zhou in front of everyone, and he couldn't let the East Qin envoys laugh at West Chu. So he could only remain silent. Empress Dowager Zhou had calculated this point and rushed to say it, making it so Mo Chuan could not refute it. Namu Qiuo was a bit stunned. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Empress Dowager Zhou before revealing a smile. Namu Qiuo understands the Empress Dowager's good intentions, but Namu Qiuo has been away from the country for a long time, and adding in the fact that the mission has been completed, although your country's capital city is beautiful, this prince is eager to return home. I want to bring On Ning back to East Qin to see my royal father. The Empress Dowager loves On Ning, so when there is time in the future, this prince will bring On Ning back to see the Empress Dowager. Namu Qiuo's words were very polite, which suited Empress Dowager Zhou's intentions. She said with a faint smile, "Since your highness wants to return, then this widow won't keep your highness here. This widow will prepare a thick dowry for Ning. Your highness, Ning, is the best girl in my West Chu country. If she is taken away by your highness like this widow really can't bear it." Namu Qiuo laughed as he said, "Many thanks to the Empress Dowager and the Emperor's deep affection, bestowing such a good girl to this prince as a concubine. This prince will definitely treat her well and not let her suffer any grievances. I hope that your highness crown prince keeps his word, then I can rest assured. Ning, his highness the crown prince is heroic and heroic. He is one of the best men in the world. It is your fortune to be able to marry him. I hope that after the two of you get married, you and your wife will be able to live in harmony and grow old together." Chen Ning's long eyelashes trembled, but she did not look up. She bowed down to Empress Dowager Zhou in the stands. Many thanks to the Empress Dowager. After saying this, she fell silent again. Empress Dowager Zhou turned to look at Mo Chuan and said with a smile, "Emperor, young Miss Chun is about to follow the crown prince to East Qin. You should say a few words of congratulations and pray for young Miss Chun." Chapter 783. She wanted to blurt out, "Mother, What do you mean by this? Aren't you clearly stabbing a knife in a royal brother's heart? You are too cruel. Yi Tingxian's hands were impatient. Before she could even speak, he grabbed a fruit and stuffed it into her mouth. Woo woo woo. The eldest princess immediately glared at Yi Tingxian. Yi Tingxian shook his head at her. He pointed at Mo Chuan and then pointed at his own heart, making a gesture. The eldest princess didn't understand, but she knew that Yi Tingxian was smart. There must be a deeper meaning to him not letting her speak. So she forcefully swallowed the fruit in her mouth and then looked at Mo Chuan with a pained expression. Although Mo Chuan's face was as calm as before, not showing any emotions. The eldest princess knew that his heart was filled with pain. It was impossible for him to watch his beloved girl marry far away and not be moved. She believed that her royal brother was not a man without a heart. At this time, the thousands of eyes on and off the stage were all focused on Mo Chuan's face, silently waiting for him to speak. Namu Kuo gave Mo Chuan a provocative grin. Your Majesty, this prince will be leaving the capital city with Ning tomorrow. If you have nothing to say, then this prince will be leaving with Ning first. Mo Chuan deeply looked at him. His deep black eyes seemed like they could see through him and into his heart. Namu Kuo raised his head and proudly looked at him. He knew that this young emperor was still in her heart, but he was confident that when she returned to East Qin with him, he would win her heart bit by bit. Your Highness, you've obtained a treasure. I am jealous of you. Mo Chuan finally slowly spoke. His voice was calm and his expression was calm. It was so calm that no one could understand what he was saying. Empress Dowager Zhou's body couldn't help trembling. She immediately looked up and threatened Mo Chuan. Kuh. She forcefully coughed a few times, clearly warning him. This bastard brat, what kind of bastard words was he saying? Did he want to confess to the Chun family's girl in front of thousands of people? If he dared, she wouldn't forgive him. The West Shu ministers did not understand the deeper meaning behind the emperor's words. They only thought that the emperor's words were the same as Empress Dowager Zhou's, tactfully praising Chun Ning. So they all nodded in agreement. If it wasn't because they had no other choice, they wouldn't want this kind of smart and beautiful girl to marry to East Qin. This was because she was like a dazzling pearl in the competition with Namu Kuo, releasing a brilliance that convinced all of them. Ha 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 ha. Namu Kuo broke out in laughter. He gave a slight nod to Mo Chuan. Your Majesty, you're right. It was this prince's luck that was good enough to find this treasure. You don't need to be jealous of this prince. The one this prince should be jealous of is you. After he said this, he bowed to Empress Dowager Zhou and Mo Chuan in the stands before saying, this prince will be returning to the country tomorrow, and there are many things I need to take care of, so I'll be leaving first. Tomorrow, this widow and the emperor will personally send your highness off. Please do as you wish, your highness. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded. Namu Kuo revealed a toothy smile. He held Chun Ning's hand and sent her onto the carriage. Then he put down the bead curtain, blocking everyone's view of her. From when Chun Ning appeared to when she left, she never looked up at Mo Chuan on the stage. Chapter 784. When she entered the carriage, Mo Chuan slowly looked at the glowing curtain. It was a pity he couldn't even see a corner of her clothes. The envoys in the East Qin stands all followed behind Namu Kuo and the carriage. In a grandiose manner, a group of people left the eastern field without looking back. The eldest princess watched as the group of people left, leaving behind a trail of dust. There was an indescribable feeling in her heart. She still did not dare believe that Chun Ning would leave with the East Qin crown prince like this. She would leave her homeland and be married to a foreign country. Royal brother, why don't you keep her? Why? You. As long as you say a single word, she wouldn't have to leave. Could be you're really willing to let her go? She broke free of Yi Tingxian's hand and grabbed Mo Chuan's sleeve. Mo Chuan watched the carriage leave. Even when he couldn't see it anymore, he still did not look away. Hearing the eldest princess' words, he slowly turned to look at her and softly said, Keep? This one does not have that qualification. Unwilling? This one has nothing to be unwilling about. After he said this with an indifferent expression, he pulled his sleeve out of the eldest princess' hand and walked off the stands with large steps. He mounted a horse and galloped forward. His bright yellow royal robe fluttered in the wind, and he quickly left the field. The eldest princess was choked by him until she couldn't say anything. She watched him leave on the horse in a daze, and only when he disappeared did she react. Bad person. All bad people. There isn't a single good man. She angrily stomped her foot and cursed through gritted teeth. Her nose was crooked from anger from Mo Chuan. All her passion had been fed to the dogs. She was worried for her royal brother, feeling sorry for him, thinking of ways to keep Ninger. But in the end, he didn't care at all. Princess, this one has never offended you before. How did you become a bad thing? Yi Tingxian gave a cough beside her. The eldest princess immediately turned around to grab his hand. Tingxian, other than you, there isn't a single man that could be relied on. Then the princess can just rely on Tingxian. Tingxian will not disappoint the princess. Yi Tingxian looked at the eldest princess with a deep feeling in his eyes. He had a cold personality and restrained his emotions. These two sentences were already the biggest confession he could say. The eldest princess' heart was filled with warmth. She didn't care about everyone's eyes as she threw herself into Yi Tingxian's embrace. Yi Tingxian didn't practice martial arts and was just a weak scholar. His body wasn't strong enough, but he reached out to hold the eldest princess' shoulder. He stood there like a pine tree, protecting the eldest princess in his embrace. He knew that under the eldest princess' strong exterior, there was a heart that was softer than a normal person. She was passionate, pure, kind, and easily hurt. From the day he accepted her, he swore in his heart that he would protect her and not let her suffer any harm. The eldest princess heard the powerful and fiery heartbeat in Yi Tingxian's chest, and it was like she could hear his thoughts. Her eyes became wet and tears unknowingly flowed down. He, she, he. Chapter 785. The East Qin Guest House. The sky was already dark, and a day had passed in the blink of an eye. There were already lights in the room, and the gentle candlelight filled every corner of the room. It shone on the expensive furnishings, making it seem hazy and blurry. Sitting in the beautiful room, Chen Ning was lost in thought as she looked at herself in the bronze mirror. She had just finished bathing, and her jet-black hair hung down to the ground, still dripping wet. Behind her, there were several East Qin maids helping her with her makeup. Their every move was very careful, with respectful and fearful expressions on their faces. They knew that this beautiful West Chu girl was the future East Qin crown princess, so they were afraid they wouldn't be careful when serving her. Chen Ning was just thinking about her own thoughts as she allowed the maids to help her change her clothes, dress her up, and tidy her up. Crown Princess, are you satisfied with this dress? An East Qin maid asked in an unfamiliar West Chu language. Chen Ning finally came back to her senses. Her eyes fell onto the mirror, and for a moment, she could not recognize herself. That girl dressed in gorgeous alien clothing, was that her? She looked at herself in the mirror in a daze. It couldn't be denied that the maids had dressed her up very beautifully. That fitted dress perfectly accentuated her soft and beautiful figure, making that slender waist look even more graceful. She lightly stood up and heard the crisp sound of small beads colliding with each other. Only then did she realize that the maids had actually tied sparkling beads to her braids, making her look like the stars in the sky, sparkling and dazzling. Too shiny. I don't like dressing up like this. This is not me at all, she said in a soft voice, saying it to herself. Her voice was too low and the maids did not understand. Seeing her brows knit together, they all knelt down with fearful expressions. Crown Princess, if you are not satisfied, these servants will help you dress up again. No need, just leave it like this. Chen Ning shook her head. She was not willing to make it hard for these maids. Not to mention that she did not care if she was beautiful or ugly. She did not care at all. She was just going to banquet, a banquet that she had promised Namu Qo. Your Highness. The maids all greeted Namu Qo, who had just entered. Namu Qo stood at the door, and when he saw Chen Ning, his eyes instantly lit up. Ning, you really are pretty. When you wear these clothes, you look just like our East Qin girls. You were born to be someone from our East Qin country. He gave her a laugh. Chen Ning did not smile and just softly said, Your Highness, we will be leaving tomorrow. What about the matter you promised me? Namu Qo raised his brows and said, Once you finish eating with this prince, you will naturally be able to see the person you want to see. All right, I'm ready. Let's go eat. Chen Ning did not want to drag things out. I will definitely do what I promised you. I just hope that your Highness will not go back on his words. Haha, you are a man of your word. Could it be that I, Namu Qo, am a man of my word? Ning, you've called me the wrong way again. If you do this again, don't blame me for punishing you. Namu Qo seemed to be in a good mood as he spoke with a smile. He reached out his large palm and held her wrist. His appreciative gaze quickly swept over her body, and he clicked his tongue. Chapter 786. Chen Ning knew what he was referring to. She was filled with shame and anger as she glared at him. Namu Qo broke out in laughter. He was very satisfied to see her face turn red. This was her true personality. Actually, under her gentle and beautiful appearance, she had a rebellious heart just like him. She was truly a woman that belonged to him from birth. Come, Ning, let's go eat, drink, sing, and dance. Tonight, you have to play with this prince to the fullest. He pulled her out of the room without saying anything and came into the yard. Chen Ning finally noticed that the entire courtyard was filled with lanterns, brightly illuminating half the sky. In the center of the courtyard, there was a giant fire, and there was a large roasted wild boar on top of the fire, releasing an enticing fragrance. Punk! A huge explosion rang out, giving her a fright. Then, a meteor firework rose into the night sky, turning into a gorgeous and complicated rain of flowers, sprinkling down from the sky. Following that, fireworks bloomed in the sky one after another, creating a beautiful scene. This is your future citizens showing their respect to the crown princess. Ning, do you like it? If you like it, I'll have them set off fireworks for you every day. Namu Qo's voice sounded in her ears. She revealed a faint smile, not saying anything. Namu Qo pulled her to sit beside him. The banquet was in the yard, and other than their table, there were also the East Qin envoys. Several dozen people surrounded their table like stars surrounding the moon. Namu Qo waved his hand, and the servants came in, bringing out the wine and dishes. Under the sound of fireworks, there was a group of strong East Qin men with stone drums tied around their waists. They walked barefooted into the center of the field, beating the drums while performing an East Qin dance. The atmosphere was very lively. Namu Qo took out a small knife from his chest and carefully cut the roasted wild boar into small pieces. He placed it on the plate in front of her and looked at her with a faint smile. Ning, have a taste of our East Qin's roasted pork. You will definitely like the taste, he said in a confident voice. He had never served another girl before, but he was willing to help her do things. The wild boar was roasted just right. It was golden on the outside, and the fragrance filled the air. Just smelling it was enough to make a person's fingers move. Chen Ning hesitated for a bit before picking up a piece of wild boar and placing it in her mouth. She gently chewed, and a crisp fragrance filled her nose. It was indeed something she had never tasted before. Do you like it? Namu Qo's eyes sparkled as he looked at her, his words having a double meaning. She seemed to not understand his meaning as she said with a faint smile, It's very delicious. Namu Qo broke out in laughter. He raised the wine jug in front of him and poured a bowl of wine for her. This is our East Qin's specialty. The wine is spicy, and it feels like a knife cutting your throat. It is the best thing to eat with this roasted pork. Do you dare try it? His words was to provoking her. So, Chun Ning naturally understood. She picked up the bowl and drank a mouthful. Once the wine entered her throat, it was as Nam Mu Qo said, it was like swallowing a knife. A wave of heat rushed into her throat and almost made her cry. She picked up the bowl and drank a mouthful. As soon as the wine entered her throat, it was like what Nam Mu Qo said. It was like swallowing a knife, and a burning sensation filled her throat, almost making her cry. Good wine, she sincerely praised. Chapter 787. At this time, the East Qin envoys all came forward to toast Namu Qo. Namu Qo was very straightforward, drinking all the wine in his bowl. In the blink of an eye, he drank several dozen bowls of wine, becoming more and more spirited. The atmosphere became more and more lively. The drunk East Qin people began to walk down the stage and began to sing and dance. They were born on horseback and grew up on horseback. Moreover, regardless of gender, everyone could sing and dance. They surrounded the burning bonfire and held hands as they danced, singing at the same time. Although Chen Ning did not understand what they were singing, the song was very lively and filled with passion. Her emotions were unknowingly infected by it. Ning, after drinking this bowl of wine, will also go dance. Under the starlight, Namu Qo's eyes shined even brighter than the stars in the sky. His smile was like the clear sky that broke through the clouds, incomparably brilliant. He looked at her without blinking. Because she had drunk wine, her cheeks were red and her eyes were covered in a layer of drunkenness. Her eyes were even brighter than his. All right, Namu Qo pulled her up and joined the others in the dance. Although Chun Ning did not know how to dance, she had a photographic memory. This dance was simple, so after seeing everyone dance it a few times, she was able to learn most of it. After dancing it a few times, she was very familiar with it. She danced around the bonfire, her waist swaying like a willow branch. Her arms were like orchids as she danced gracefully. Her beautiful eyes sparkled as she was like an enchanting lily blooming in the night, releasing a faint fragrance. Everyone was stunned, and they unknowingly stopped in their tracks, watching her solo dance. Her long hair flew in the wind, and the little beads on her hair bumped into each other, making a clear sound. She spun along with the music, spinning faster and faster as the stars in the sky danced in front of her eyes. Suddenly, she stumbled and fell face first into the sky. Namu Qo reached out to catch her. She closed her eyes and felt dizzy. Countless stars danced in front of her. She did not know if she was drunk or if she was dizzy from spinning. The crown princess can't handle the alcohol, so this prince will bring her in to rest. You guys continue. Everyone will have fun, Namu Qo loudly said. Then he picked her up and strode into the room, placing her on the bed. Chen Ning opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear, not showing a trace of being drunk at all. Your Highness, I've already finished what I promised you. What about the matter you promised me? Namu Qo looked at her and suddenly grabbed her hand, saying in a low voice, Ning. Her fingertips trembled slightly. She pulled her hand back from his large palm and repeated, You promised me. Wait a minute, Namu Qo suddenly said. You want to change your mind? Chen Ning knit her brows. No. Namu Qo shook his head and suddenly stood up. He walked to the window and pushed it open. Someone immediately flew over from outside the window and shouted, Your Highness, someone has broken in. Who? This subordinate can't see clearly. It's a dozen or so mysterious black-clothed men. All of their faces are covered, but their martial arts are very good. Our dozen or so people are at a disadvantage against their dozen or so people. Right now, several of us are injured. Chen mysterious people. Chapter 788. Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat, and her face turned slightly white. She bit her lower lip and thought, could it be that Mo Chuan sent someone here? No way. With Mo Chuan's personality, he definitely wouldn't. Then, could it be Chu Xiaoyang? She stood up and walked over to the window. She saw that the people dancing in the yard had all disappeared, probably leaving with Namu Qo. There was only a burning bonfire left in the large field. She could hear the sounds of weapons clashing from outside the walls. It was clear that there was an intense fight going on. She could also hear Na Mu Qo's deep voice. Capture them alive. Don't let a single one go. Suddenly, a cold wind blew in from the window, bringing with it a deep chill. In that instant, the hairs on Qinning's back stood up. There was danger. Chi. Her strong sixth sense made her suddenly move to the side. She heard a soft sound, and a small thing flew past her face. She could smell a faint fishy smell. The hidden weapon was poisonous. She broke out in a cold sweat, and then she heard a thud sound behind her. That small hidden weapon must have hit the bedpost. It was a good thing she had practiced martial arts. Although she wasn't a martial arts expert, she was more agile than a normal person. She knew that the hidden weapon had flown in from the window, but she couldn't see the person who shot it. She only knew that the person was hiding in the shadows, and she was in the light. Qinning made a quick decision. She squatted down by the window and rolled under the bed. The thick bed curtains immediately covered her figure. She lay at the bottom of the bed and looked outside. She didn't hear any sound, but she saw a pair of feet suddenly appear in the room. The feet were wearing a pair of black leather boots. They looked ordinary, but the upper of the shoes was embroidered with a pattern of auspicious clouds using purple thread. She couldn't help but take another look. There was killing intent. Qinning's intuition told her that the person's target was not anyone else, but herself. But no matter how hard she racked her brains, she couldn't figure out what she had done to offend this person. Why did this person indiscriminately want to take her life? She held her breath as she stared at the pair of black-soled boots. That pair of feet did not move at all. It was clear that he was looking for his target in the room, but he couldn't find it. As long as he didn't find his target, he would not move. Qinning's heart jumped in her throat. She knew that if she accidentally made a sound, she would be discovered by this person, but she didn't know how long she could hold her breath. Sooner or later, she wouldn't be able to hold it any longer. Namu Qo. Stupid Namu Qo. She suddenly realized that this was a diversion, a plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. She suddenly realized that the target was not Namu Qo. At this moment, the black boots suddenly moved. Almost in an instant, they appeared beside the bed, less than a foot away from her. The purple, auspicious cloud pattern on the boots magnified in front of her eyes, and she could see it even more clearly. Qinning's body was as tense as a bow. She did not know if that person had discovered her, so she could only try not to move. However, she had been holding her breath for too long and finally couldn't help letting out a small sigh. That person immediately noticed it. When Qinning took a breath, she already knew it was bad. She suddenly lowered her head and curled up her body. A thin, cold light flew over her head and cut off a strand of her hair, narrowly avoiding that killing move. Chapter 789. Qi. Blood splattered everywhere. Qinning saw drop after drop of blood fall to the ground. Following that, with a pung sound, a black-clothed man fell to the ground with a shining throwing knife stuck in his back. Ning. Namu Qo jumped in from the window. He looked around with a nervous expression, not seeing Qinning's figure. His heart almost jumped out of his chest. He gave another loud shout. Ning, where are you? I'm here. Qinning's heart fell to the ground. She came out from under the bed and patted the dust off her body. She looked down at the black-clothed man. That black-clothed man was wearing tight-fitting night clothes. He was lying on the ground, and his face could not be seen. Are you injured? Are you all right? Namu Qo grabbed her shoulder and looked over her. Finding that she wasn't injured, he let out a sigh of relief. I'm fine. Did you catch the intruders? She asked. Namu Qo nodded, but his expression was very serious. In a deep voice, he said, but they're all dead. Not a single one was left alive. After he said this, he crouched down next to the black-clothed man on the ground. He touched his artery and then said with a sigh, he's also dead. They're all dead? Qinning took in a cold breath. They were all killed by you. I didn't kill them. They took poison to commit suicide. Namu Qo shook his head. He hooked his right foot and flipped over the black-clothed man on the ground. He took off his mask and revealed a normal face. His eyes, ears, mouth, and nose were all bleeding with black blood. He knew that his throwing knife was not enough to kill him. So he said, "My knife does not have poison on it." Ning nodded. She could see that this black-clothed man knew that he couldn't run, so he also took poison to commit suicide. "Who are they?" she asked. Namu Qo pondered for a bit. "According to my guess, this should be a group of trained killers, but my people have searched their bodies and couldn't find any clues. I don't know where these people came from." "There are no clues?" Ning suddenly pointed at that person's black leather boots and said, "I did find something. Look at the pattern on his boots. It looks like a cloud. You can send people to check the boots of all the black-clothed men. If they all have the same pattern, perhaps you can find out where they came from." "Ning, you truly are meticulous. You can even find such a small detail." Namu Qo was pleasantly surprised. He bent down to take a closer look and indeed found that cloud. However, purple and black were very similar in color, so if one didn't look carefully, it would be hard to notice the purple pattern embroidered on the black boots. "Someone, go and check the boots of those men in black. See if they all have the same pattern on them," he ordered loudly. The people outside immediately replied and quickly came back to report. "Your Highness, everyone's boots have cloud patterns embroidered on them." Namu Qo nodded and ordered, "Everyone, guard the guest house well. If anyone dares to break in, kill them without mercy." When he turned his head back, his expression had already become extremely ugly. Namu Qo did not reply and just stared at her. His deep black eyes did not blink at all. He grabbed her hand and tightly gripped it. Namu Qo did not reply and only stared at her. That pair of deep black eyes did not blink. He grabbed her hand and gripped it tightly. Ning could feel that his large palms were covered in cold sweat. Chapter 790. Ning, I'm sorry. It was all because I was careless and fell for the enemy's plan to lure us away, almost taking your life. Namu Qo's body suddenly trembled as he felt a deep sense of fear. If he hadn't woken up in time and rushed back, she would have already become a ghost under the black-clothed man's blade. Ning took her hand back from his hand and took 2 steps back, looking at him with a calm expression. "Your Highness, you don't need to apologize to me. This is the condition I promised you. You purposely made me play this show with you. Didn't want to lure these people out, but I didn't expect that I would become their target. Is the person they want to kill you or me?" She had just gone from life to death and then from death to life, so her heart was filled with anger. "Ning, don't be angry. I really didn't think this through. I never thought they would suddenly change their target. They actually came to kill me, but I don't know why they also wanted to deal with you. It's all because of me that you were implicated." His eyes were filled with regret. If he knew it would be like this, he wouldn't have dragged her into this matter no matter what. "Your Highness, since I almost lost my life for you, you should tell me the reason. Don't let me die without knowing why." Ning gently said. Namu Qo awkwardly looked at her. After hesitating for a bit, he said, "Ning, I really never thought that assassins would come. I thought that the person who came was Chu Xiaoyang, and I thought that he wouldn't be willing to let you leave with me. So I wanted to lure him out, and then he only wanted to lure out a leopard. But he never thought that he would lure out a group of fierce wolves that almost took her life. Oh, but Chu Xiaoyang didn't come, and it was a group of assassins. Your Highness, this shouldn't be the first time this group of assassins has appeared, right? Your Highness, what kind of background do they have? Can you tell me a bit?" Ning curled her lips and revealed a look of understanding. How did you guess everything?" Namu Qo looked at her with a look of admiration and surprise. "All right, I'll tell you. Have you heard of the Purple Heaven Pavilion?" "Purple Heaven Pavilion?" Ning knit her brows. This was the first time she had heard of these 3 words, but it sounded like the name of a gang from a martial arts novel. Is this the organization behind this group of mysterious assassins? Yes, the Purple Heaven Pavilion is the most mysterious assassination organization in Jianghu. They have only appeared in Jianghu in recent years, but they have developed very quickly. It was said that the Purple Heaven Pavilion raised a large number of highly skilled killers. They took people's money to eliminate disasters. As long as they could afford it, there was nothing they couldn't do. If my guess is correct, this group of killers was sent by the Purple Heaven Pavilion. If you hadn't discovered the cloud pattern on their boots, I really wouldn't have been able to guess their origins. Chapter 791. He looked at Chen Ning and paused for a bit. His eyes revealed a look of worry. But what I can't understand is why their target tonight wasn't me, but you. Could it be because of me? Was it because I dragged you down? But to this day, I still don't know who ordered them to do this and why they wanted to kill me. I only hope to leave one or two alive, but it's a pity that my wish wasn't fulfilled. He suddenly pressed down on her shoulder and calmly said, "Ah Ning, you don't need to worry. No matter how strong the Purple Heaven Pavilion's assassins are, you don't need to worry. I will protect you. As long as Namu Qo is here, I won't let anyone harm you." So, Your Highness' meaning is that as long as I leave you, my life will be in danger at any moment, right? In order to live in this world, I have to hide under your wings and seek protection, right? She gave a faint mocking smile. What Purple Heaven Pavilion? What mysterious assassination organization of the Jianghu? She had never heard of it before. She couldn't think of anything. She didn't even know martial arts, and she didn't have any enemies. So why would those people treat her as a target for assassination? The only explanation for this matter was that Namu Qo had arranged a good show, or that she had become Namu Qo's scapegoat. Namu Qo's eyes turned cold, and the hand on her shoulder trembled. His face turned a bit ugly. "Ah Ning, are you suspecting this prince? Do you think that this prince made this up to trick you? Were these black, clothed assassins deliberately arranged by this prince?" He asked while suppressing his anger. "I don't think anything. Your Highness is thinking too much. Life and death are determined by fate. I don't care if they want to kill you or me. I just hope that your Highness can do what you promised me." She did not want to pursue this matter anymore. Even if the Jianghu really had a Purple Heaven Pavilion, she didn't know anything about it, and she did not want to be involved. "All right, don't you want to see that person? This prince will immediately let you see him. If you are willing, you can bring that person with you. This prince will not stop you." Namu Qo clapped his hands and loudly ordered, "Bring that person in for this prince." Chen Ning couldn't help straightening her back and looking in the direction of the door. Namu Qo kept looking at her. Seeing the glow in her eyes, he couldn't help saying in a jealous voice, "Ah Ning, when can you treat me like this? I won't ask for anything else." Her back stiffened slightly, but she didn't say anything. The sound of footsteps could be heard from outside as someone reported, "Your Highness the Crown Prince, the person is here. Come in," Namu Qo said gravely. The door was pushed open and a person was pushed into the room. "Bad people. You are all bad people. Why did you bring me here?" "Ah, eldest miss. Why are you here?" When that person saw Chen Ning, his round little face was filled with surprise and joy. His eyes opened wide as he revealed a look of disbelief. "Xiaoru." Chen Ning took a step forward and held her hand. "Young miss." Feeling the warmth of Chen Ning's palm, Xiaoru suddenly felt real. She threw herself into Chen Ning's embrace and began to cry as she hugged her. Chapter 792. Xiaoru looked up from Chen Ning's embrace. Her face was covered in tears, and her face was covered in tears. "I'm fine. Aren't I standing here perfectly fine? I haven't even lost a single hair." Chen Ning revealed a faint smile as she helped Xiaoru wipe her tears. She did not want Xiaoru to worry, so she did not mention a single word about what Chu Xiaoyang had done. "But young miss, are you really my young miss? Why are you dressed like this? Where did these clothes come from? They're so ugly. They're so ugly. Young miss, quickly take them off. Wearing such ugly clothes. You're not like you at all." Xiaoru's mouth did not stop. When she saw that Chen Ning was fine, her attention immediately turned to her clothes. She looked over that beautiful dress, and her little mouth flattened, revealing a look of disgust. Namu Qo's face instantly turned dark. Ugly? Ugly? Did this lass's eyes have a hole to pant for air? He was angry and annoyed. He grabbed Xiao Ru's collar and lifted her up like an eagle holding a little chick. He stared at her like he wanted to eat her. Stinky girl, you're quite bold, daring to say that my Eastchin's clothes are ugly. Do you believe that I won't take your head? Xiao Ru struggled in the air, kicking her feet. Her face was red from being strangled, and she couldn't breathe. Namu Qo, let her go. You're a respected man, yet you're bullying a little girl. Don't you feel ashamed? Chen Ning shouted. Namu Qo was stunned. He realized that he shouldn't make it hard for a little girl in her teens, so he put Xiao Ru down. He crossed his arms and gave a cold laugh. Who told this little girl to speak nonsense? I gave you the prettiest clothes in my Eastchin country, and she actually thinks it's ugly. This girl really has eyes, but can't see. Ning, this stupid girl is the person you're thinking about all the time? The person you wanted to see with all your heart is this idiot? Chen Ning did not say anything, but Xiao Ru was already going crazy with anger. Her face was even redder than a red cloth as she screamed, You're the stupid one. You're the stupid one. You're a bad person. She clenched her fists and charged over to punch Namu Qo. Namu Qo stood there like a towering mountain, straightening his chest. Her little fists rained down on his body, not even enough to scratch him. He looked down at Xiao Ru with a smile. Stupid girl, use a bit more strength. Are you trying to tickle me? Xiao Ru, bad person. You're too hateful. Xiao Ru's lungs were about to explode from anger. She raised her head and stared at Namu Qo. She couldn't understand why this man was so hateful. She found that the other party was actually a head taller than her, like an iron tower. She was petite and exquisite. Standing in front of the tall and mighty Namu Qo, she looked like a bean sprout, thin and small. Xiao Ru, come here. Chen Ning stared at Namu Qo. Your Highness, is there any meaning in bullying my maid? Xiao Ru Xiao Ning. But Xiao Ru was so angry that she began to cry. She threw herself into Chen Ning's embrace and sobbed as she said, Young miss, is this servant really stupid? Chen Ning stared at Namu Qo. Your Highness, bullying my girl. Is there any meaning in this? This servant has also heard that the young miss wants to marry to Eastchin. Is that true? This servant has also heard that you want to marry the Eastchin crown prince as his princess. Is that true? Chapter 793. Xiao Ru looked up at her with tears in a daze, like she didn't recognize her at all. She opened her mouth and revealed a look of disbelief. Young miss, you can't. How can you marry into Eastchin? This servant has heard that the Eastchin people are like uncivilized beasts. They eat raw meat and drink raw blood. They wear fur that has just been peeled from animals and are covered in blood. Truly disgusting. Also, this servant has also heard that the Eastchin people are very ugly. The men are as ugly as wild boars, and there are 2 long fangs in their mouths. Their crown prince must be even uglier. Young miss, you definitely can't marry. Any of our West Chu men are 100 times stronger than their Eastchin men. Young miss, you can't take it too hard. Just because you met a bad person, you can't treat all the West Chu men as bad people. She blabbered on and on. She spoke quickly and anxiously, not giving Chen Ning time to stop her. Xiao Ru, you're not allowed to speak nonsense. Chen Ning berated her. She looked at Namu Qo from the corner of her eyes and saw that Namu Qo's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Namu Qo's heart was filled with anger. Heard. That stupid lass kept saying that she had heard of it. What did she hear such nonsense from? How could they Eastchin people be uncivilized beasts? How could they be uglier than wild boars? He, the crown prince, was even uglier? Namu Qo became angrier the more he heard, and his chest went up and down. He suddenly walked forward and grabbed Xiao Ru, fiercely staring at her. Stupid girl, open your eyes and take a good look. Am I ugly? Xiao Ru was stunned. She looked at Namu Qo in a daze and blinked. This was the first time she clearly saw his appearance. His hair was jet black and thick, and his eyebrows were thick and long, like two furry brushes standing on top of his eyes. When he was angry, his eyebrows would jump up and down like two live caterpillars. She tilted her head to look at him, not blinking at all. The more she looked, the more she looked. Namu Kyo was finally satisfied. This little girl was not as stupid as he thought. At least she was stunned looking at his handsome appearance, which meant that she knew what was good for her. You look. Why is your appearance so strange? Xiaoru looked at him, and she actually broke out in laughter. Strange? Namu Kyo knit his brows. He couldn't think what was strange about his appearance. He couldn't think of anything strange about it. Eldest miss, look at how interesting he looks. There are actually two caterpillars growing on his eyes, and they move as if they are alive. This is too interesting. This servant has lived this long, and I have never seen caterpillars on a person's face. She giggled like a happy little pigeon, pointing at Namu Kyo's eyebrows, so happy that she could not stand straight. Namu Kyo's face turned completely green. In his 20s, this was the first time someone had laughed at his eyebrows. Little girl even thought of could think of this. How could he not know that his eyebrows looked like caterpillars? All right, Xiaoru, come here. I have something to tell you. Your Highness, if there isn't anything else, you can leave first. I have something to tell my maid. Chapter 794. She was afraid that once Namu Kyo reacted, he would strangle Xiaoru to death. But caterpillars. She couldn't help looking at Namu Kyo's eyebrows and found that they really were two moving caterpillars. Even she couldn't help admiring Xiaoru's eyes. She really had a rich imagination. She tried her best not to laugh out loud, afraid that Namu Kyo would add oil to the fire. Namu Kyo panted as he turned to look at Chen Ning and said, Ning, I really can't think of it. With how smart you are, how could you have a girl as dumb as a pig by your side? She simply has a wooden head, no? It's simply a pig head. She's even dumber than a pig. He was so angry that he was gasping for breath. If it wasn't for Chen Ning's face, he would have dragged that girl over to ask her about it. Why didn't she like his eyebrows at all? Xiaoru hated people calling her stupid the most. She didn't know Namu Kyo's identity, and hearing him call her stupid, she was so angry that tears came out. Young miss, don't stop me. I want to tear off this annoying fellow's mouth. He's too annoying. I've never hated a person this much in my life. She charged at Namu Kyo, but was forcefully pulled back by Chen Ning. Xiaoru, you can't be rude to the crown prince. What? He's the crown prince. This was the East Qin crown prince? Is it the crown prince that young miss wants to marry? Xiaoru was stunned. That's right, it's him. Chen Ning nodded. Namu Kyo saw Xiaoru's stunned appearance and gave a snort. Stinky girl, your young miss is my princess, and this prince will be your master in the future. You dare be rude to your master. How do you think this prince will punish you? He looked at Xiaoru with a threatening gaze, and his two thick, black brows were lowered. Xiaoru's eyes blinked, and tears began to fall again. Eldest young miss, why did you lower yourself to marry him? There are two caterpillars on his face, making him look fierce and ugly. This servant doesn't like him. This servant hates him. Young miss, did this fellow force you to marry him? Isn't that right? He's really bad, really bad. I want to kill him. Her thoughts were very simple, and her brain only had one thought. She gritted her teeth and clenched her fists as she charged at Namu Kyo. Her movements were so fast that Chen Ning couldn't stop her. Xiaoru's head slammed into Namu Kyo's chest. She felt her head go dizzy, like she had hit an iron plate. She saw stars in front of her as she swayed and fell to the ground on her, but, little girl, this is only a small punishment for you. If you dare to be rude to this prince again, I will marry you to a boar. Namu Kyo grinned at Xiaoru, revealing a mouthful of snow-white teeth that sparkled like a wild beast. After he finished speaking, he strode out. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, he would sooner or later explode from anger because of this girl who was dumber than a pig. Of course, he also wanted to find a mirror. He wanted to take a closer look at his eyebrows. Did they really look like caterpillars? Xiao Ru, are you all right? Chen Ning held back a smile as she helped Xiao Ru stand up and helped her pat the dust off her dress. Namu Kuo letting Xiao Ru go like this was out of her expectations. Chapter 795. This servant is fine. Xiao Ru's face was filled with tears as her eyes filled with tears. Her headache, neck, and buttocks were all caused by that fierce-looking caterpillar. Ah, she hated caterpillars. Young miss, listen to this servant's advice. You can't marry him. She thought of the words Na Mu Kuo left before he left and couldn't help shivering as tears began to fall again. Woo woo, he's too bad. He said he would marry this servant to a boar. Woo woo woo. Young miss, if you really become his princess, this servant's future days will be hard to live. She was heartbroken as she cried. Chen Ning was angry and amused at the same time. She rubbed her forehead and began to think about whether she did the wrong thing by bringing Xiao Ru over. This girl and Namu Kuo were like fire and water. As soon as she came, she would have a headache in the future. All right, don't cry. If you don't like Namu Kuo, then you can stay in the capital. I will ask the eldest princess to take care of you. The eldest princess is a very good person. You won't be wronged if you follow her. Before she could finish, Xiao Ru excitedly cut her off. Young miss, what are you saying? Do you not want this servant anymore? This servant has already said that I am the young miss person in life and the young miss ghost in death. No matter where you go, Xiao Ru will follow you. You will marry the East Qin crown prince, and you will go to East Qin to drink raw blood and eat raw meat. This servant will follow you and will never leave you. Young miss, don't think of leaving this servant. Chen Ning was touched and wanted to laugh. She tapped Xiao Ru's head, not knowing where this girl heard all these strange thoughts from. Xiao Ru, listen to me. Although East Qin isn't as prosperous as West Chu, they don't eat raw meat and drink raw blood. The clothes they wear aren't bloody animal skins. Look at the clothes I'm wearing. How beautiful is the design on it? Also, the roasted meat they make is very delicious. Don't you like eating meat the most? Wait until tomorrow morning. I'll have them prepare a portion of roasted meat for you to eat your fill. Xiao Ru's face did not look happy at all. She said with a lack of interest, this servant doesn't care about meat. This servant only cares about young miss. Do you really like that caterpillar? This servant knows that the person young miss likes is not him, and the person you want to marry is not him, but rather the emperor. Chen Ning placed a finger on her lips and looked at her with a warning look. You're not allowed to say it. Xiao Ru, you're not allowed to say it. Xiao Ru blinked and forcefully nodded. This servant won't say it, but if this servant doesn't say it, can young miss really forget him? I'm afraid that he has long been an eldest miss heart. You clearly love him, but you have to go against your heart and marry another person. This servant feels sorry for eldest miss. Chen Ning stroked her hair and softly said, Xiao Ru, you're still young and there are many things you don't understand. I have no choice. This servant indeed does not understand. You always say I'm young, but will this servant understand when I grow up? This servant does not understand. If you want to marry, then marry. If you don't want to marry, then don't marry. Could it be that the East Qin crown prince will hold a knife to your neck and force you to marry him? Xiao Ru said in a straightforward manner. Chapter 796. Willingly, Xiao Ru sucked in a cold breath and her eyes popped out. Young miss, your heart has changed. Could it be that you've fallen for a caterpillar and forgotten about lots of money? Lots of money. Hearing this long-lost name, the smile on Chen Ning's face couldn't help freezing. She shook her head and said, Forget it. You won't understand even if I tell you. So why should I tell you and make you worry? I just want to see you before I leave. Xiao Ru, the person I hate to part with the most is you. I just hope that you can live a good life and not have to worry about food or clothing. In the future, you can find a person who truly treats you well and marry him. He will love you, cherish you, and live a happy life for the rest of your life. I could have arranged all of this for you, but I'm afraid I can't do it. But you can be assured, before I leave, I will find a good place for you. The eldest princess, the more Xiao Ru listened, the more afraid she became and the colder her heart became. Although she was pure, she could hear the meaning behind Chun Ning's words. She did not want to take her with her. I don't want anyone. I don't want anyone. I don't want the eldest princess. I only want the young miss. This servant has grown up with you. How can young miss not want me just because you say you don't want me? Are you like a caterpillar, thinking I'm stupid, so you don't want me? She pursed her lips and was about to cry again. Nonsense. I never said you were stupid. Xiao Ru, you're not stupid. You're just very pure and very cute. Then why don't you want me? Why don't you take me with you? This servant doesn't care about eating raw meat and drinking raw blood. As long as I can stay by the young miss side, it doesn't matter if you marry a pig or a dog. This servant will follow you with all my heart. Xiao Ru shouted. A strange sound suddenly came from outside the window, like someone was fiercely grinding their teeth. Xiao Ru's neck shrank back. Young miss, there's a mouse. This servant heard a mouse. It's not a mouse. Perhaps it's a weasel. Chun Ning softly looked up and looked out the window. Although she couldn't see, she knew that Namu Kuo was hiding outside the window, eavesdropping on her conversation with Xiao Ru. Hearing Xiao Ru say she would marry a pig or a dog, comparing him to a pig or a dog, wouldn't he be so angry that he would break his teeth? Thinking about it, it was quite interesting. She never would have thought that a proud person like Namu Kuo would be defeated by a stupid girl like Xiao Ru. Perhaps this was the saying, everything has its vanquisher. Namu Kuo was indeed hiding outside the window. His face had already changed color, turning green and red. Hearing Chun Ning calling him a weasel, he could not stay here any longer. If he stayed here any longer, he didn't know what would happen to him because of the two girls' mouths. Xiao Ru, you've always listened to me since you were young. Why are you not listening to me now? Chun Ning said with a sunken face. Eldest miss, as long as you let this servant follow you, I will listen to everything you say. I will do whatever you want me to do. Even if that caterpillar really wants me to marry a pig, this servant will accept it. Xiao Ru raised her little face and resolutely said this. The tears on her face had not dried, but her eyes were filled with determination. Xiao Ru, a warm feeling filled Chun Ning's heart. She forcefully held Xiao Ru's hand, feeling incomparably touched. Perhaps Xiao Ru was very stupid in other people's eyes, but she had given her all of her heart to her. Chapter 797. Young miss, don't leave this servant here alone. This servant has never been separated from you before, so please take this servant with you, all right? Xiao Ru begged. What could Chun Ning say? If she kept talking, she would definitely hurt Xiao Ru's heart. All right, we have to leave tomorrow morning, so let's rest early tonight. She pulled Xiao Ru onto the bed and lay down next to her. Xiao Ru was excited and emotional, but she was also sad and reluctant. She couldn't describe the feeling in her heart. She had a stomach full of questions to ask Chun Ning, but when she tilted her head, Chun Ning had already closed her eyes as if she had fallen asleep. She did not dare disturb her, so she could only keep everything in her heart. Although she had already made up her mind to stay by Chun Ning's side, when she thought of going to East Chin with the young miss tomorrow, saying goodbye to the place she grew up in and going to a barren land where even rabbits wouldn't poop, her heart was filled with an indescribable sense of fear. She felt afraid. When she thought of that caterpillar's fierce eyes and how he said he would marry her to a pig, she became even more afraid. She had heard that their East Chin men were all fierce and ugly. Now that she had personally seen it, it really was the case. That crown prince was this ugly, and the other East Chin men weren't any better. When she thought of this, she felt wrong for the young miss. The young miss was this beautiful, and the emperor was also this beautiful. The two of them were simply a match made in heaven. But why did the heavens have to break up this pair of lovebirds and force them apart? That ugly and fierce caterpillar was not worthy of the young miss at all. It would be great if there was a way for the young miss not to leave. She laid on the bed and tossed and turned. Her little head kept thinking, but she couldn't think of anything. She suddenly thought of Xiao Si and couldn't help thinking that Xiao Si was so smart and quick-witted. He seemed like he would never run out of ideas. If he was here, he would definitely be able to think of a good idea for her. Thinking of Xiao Si, the blood in her body immediately heated up and she could no longer sleep. Suddenly sitting up, she could only feel her heart beating rapidly. If I go to East Sheen with a young miss, I might never see Xiao Si again in this life. She muttered to herself as she grabbed her clothes. Her heart felt very uncomfortable, like it was being grabbed by an invisible hand. She wanted to cry, but she couldn't. But if I stay, I won't be able to see the young miss again, she thought. Xiaoru was conflicted in pain. She forcefully pulled her hair and finally made the most difficult choice. She could not see Xiao Si, but she definitely could not leave the young miss. She laid back down on the bed, and the image of Xiao Si's handsome face flashed in front of her eyes. His smiling eyes were like a fox's. He looked really good when he smiled, his voice was really pleasant to listen to, and the stories he told her were lively and interesting. She just couldn't get enough of it. Xiaoru thought of that afternoon and dusk. She and Xiao Si sat side by side on the steps. He spoke and she listened. He smiled and she smiled. Her eyes unknowingly became moist. In the future, she would never see Xiao Si's adorable face again. Xiao Si, goodbye. At the age of 15, this was the first time she experienced the feeling of bitterness in her heart. Chapter 798. Xiaoru thought that she wouldn't be able to sleep at all, but when it was almost dawn, she vaguely felt that there was another person in the room. But before she could open her eyes to see clearly, she felt her vision go black, and she fell into a deep sleep. Xiaoru didn't even have time to open her eyes before she fell into a deep sleep. Before she fell asleep, she seemed to hear a voice by her ear, a long sigh, and a warm hand caressed her cheek. Namu Qo, did you poke her sleep acupuncture point? Ning sat up on the bed and looked at the tall figure that suddenly appeared in front of the bed. Her voice was a bit hoarse, and it was not as clear and bright as usual. Xiaoru had not slept the entire night, tossing and turning. So how could she sleep peacefully? She had accompanied Xiaoru for the entire night, but she had kept her eyes closed the entire time, silently lying on the bed without moving at all. Although Namu Qo had appeared without a sound, she immediately felt something strange. When she opened her eyes, she saw Namu Qo poking Xiaoru with a finger. That's right. Namu Qo nodded, and his eyes sparkled as he looked at her. He looked like he was glowing and filled with energy. But her eyes were bloodshot, and the corners of her eyes looked haggard. But even like this, she still made his eyes light up. What? She asked. Namu Qo gave a snort and said, You already know the answer. Isn't it because of you? You wouldn't really be planning on taking this girl with you, right? If you really wanted to take her with you, you wouldn't have to see her. Ning was silent for a bit before saying with a sigh, You really are very smart. There are some things that I don't need to say, and you can guess them all. He instantly revealed a happy smile and raised his chin. He proudly said, Of course, this prince is the smartest person in the world. There has never been anything that can escape my eyes. Other than losing to you once. This prince has never lost to anyone. Ning, quickly get up and dress up. Let this girl sleep a bit longer. After 24 hours, her acupuncture point will open, and when she wakes up, you will already be several hundred miles away. She won't be able to catch up even if she wants to. Ning nodded. Namu Qo was right. Hey, Ning, look at me. Look at me carefully. Namu Qo suddenly bent down and placed his face in front of Ning, scaring her. She couldn't help taking a step back. Look at what? She was a bit confused. Look at me. Do my eyebrows really look like caterpillars? He asked. This question had been bothering him all night, and he had also been looking at himself in the mirror all night. He raised his eyebrows and stared at the mirror. He found that his eyebrows were thick and cute, but they didn't look like caterpillars at all. He had specially woken up early and caught a caterpillar on a tree. He looked at it, and he looked at it, but it didn't look like a caterpillar at all. Then he grabbed the caterpillar in one hand and went out to ask his attendants. He raised his eyebrows and asked one by one, "Hey, look, does this crown prince's eyebrows look like it?" Everyone was stunned by his question. The servants looked at the twisting caterpillar in his hand and wanted to laugh in their hearts, but who dared to laugh out loud? They all said in unison, "It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it at all." Although the answer was the same, Namu Kuo still felt very sullen. Xiao Ru's words were like a thorn in his flesh, making it hard for him to calm down. Caterpillar. Chapter 799. When she smiled, Namu Kuo's heart was filled with panic. He grabbed her shoulder and shouted, "You're not allowed to smile. Tell this prince the truth. Do I really look like a caterpillar?" His eyebrows moved. They were thick and dense, looking lively and lively. It really did look like a caterpillar. Chen Ning felt that it looked more and more like it. She really admired Xiao Ru's imagination. Ning wouldn't lie to me. If you think it looks like it, then it definitely looks like it. This prince doesn't want to see people with two caterpillars. Namu Kuo was filled with worry. He suddenly took out a small knife and slashed at his face. "Hey, what are you doing? I want to shave off these two ugly eyebrows," he shouted. "Puchi." Chen Ning laughed. "Give me the knife. I'll help you fix it so it won't look like a caterpillar." "Fix? How do I fix it?" Namu Kuo had a look of astonishment, but he still gave the knife to her. Chen Ning took the knife. "Lower your head and close your eyes." Namu Kuo lowered his head and closed his eyes. Chen Ning pressed down on his face and rubbed the knife against his cheek. She deliberately said, "You're not allowed to move. If you move, I might take your life." She was just joking, but who would have thought that Namu Kuo would reply without any hesitation, "You can take this life whenever you want. Ning, what's mine is yours. Everything I have is yours, as long as you say it. I'm only afraid you won't want it." Her heart was heavily shocked, and her smile froze on her lips. His words seemed to have been blurted out of his mouth, but she knew that although he was intelligent, he had grown up in the vast grasslands. He was broad-minded and had a straightforward personality. He would say whatever he thought, and whatever he said, it was what it was. He was not like Chu Xiao Yang, who had a stomach full of twists and turns. Chen Ning did not say anything and used the knife to slowly fix his eyebrows, shaving off all the extra eyebrows. His eyebrows were as thick as iron, each one thick and black. After a bit of trimming, they became tall and straight. His eyebrows were like swords that were cut by a knife, looking clean and beautiful. Namu Kuo closed his eyes, feeling the sharpness of the blade, the coldness brushing past his brows. However, her fingers were soft and warm. The breath she exhaled was even more fragrant, making his heart beat faster. Although he tried to control his breathing, his face still slowly became hot and his ears turned slightly red. Chen Ning immediately noticed his strange expression. Her face turned red, and she used the back of her knife to forcefully hit his neck. She shouted, "You dare think nonsense!" Namu Kuo was shocked, thinking that she was really going to use the knife to cut his throat, but his body only trembled and he did not move. He stretched out his neck to let her do it. He really did what he said. When he realized that she was using the back of the knife to scare him, his heart filled with joy. Ning! He opened his eyes, and his bright black eyes deeply looked at her. His eyes were filled with a strong tenderness. Ning Kuo na said, "Na Namu Kuo. Xiao na xiao xiao, shiamo to the xiao to." Namu Kuo knew that she meant to say 3 rules. He sighed and put down his arm. "All right, I won't touch you. I'll wait until we're married. It's getting late. You should quickly freshen up. You have to make yourself beautiful. I want everyone to see that Namu Kuo's crown princess, is radiant and peerless." Chapter 800. Namu Kuo looked at the mirror and raised his brows in surprise. He almost did not dare believe that the beautiful man with sharp eyebrows in the mirror was himself. He grinned, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. He laughed for a long time. He happily stroked his eyebrows, thinking that she had personally trimmed them for him. His heart was even sweeter than eating honey. This day was an incredibly big day for the citizens of the capital city. This was because this was the day the East Qin Crown Prince was returning home. It said that the Emperor and the Empress Dowager would personally send him off. The citizens had already rushed out of their homes and gathered on the two sides of the city gates. There were people rushing out, fighting to see the East Qin Crown Prince's true appearance. They wanted to see just how beautiful the girl the East Qin Crown Prince was to marry as his princess was. Chen Ning was wearing the Crown Prince's dress that Namu Qiu had specially made for her. That beautiful brocade did not steal her elegance at all. Rather, it made her look like a dazzling pearl. When she came out of the room being supported by the maids, Namu Qiu was waiting in the yard. He had also changed into the Crown Prince's robe. Although it was still black, the corners of the robe and sleeves were embroidered with cloud patterns, looking very low-key and luxurious. The most eye-catching thing was on his chest. There was a golden eagle embroidered on it, showing off his noble status. Hearing the footsteps behind him, Namu Qiu suddenly turned his head. He already knew that she was beautiful, but when he saw her dressed up, he still couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. Her Crown Prince's dress was as red as a flame, making her skin look especially white, almost transparent like jade. When the morning sun shined on it, it was glowing, making it hard for him to open his eyes. When she was wearing a plain white dress, she was as light as a cloud in the sky, making people unable to reach her. But when she appeared in front of him in a bright red dress, it was like a burning flame. It was incomparably beautiful, making his heart heavily tremble. Namu Qiu believed that when she appeared in front of everyone, she would definitely shock everyone, especially him. He was already looking forward to the Emperor's expression when he saw her. It would definitely be very interesting. Namu Qiu rode on his extraordinary dark cloud snow horse, with his black cloak fluttering behind him, with a bright smile on his young and handsome face. He was in a very good mood as he looked left and right on his horse. He was in high spirits, waving to the cheering citizens on both sides of the road from time to time. Behind him was an exquisite carriage pulled by 8 snow-white horses. The carriage was decorated with pearls and jade, and a thick curtain of pearls hung in front of the carriage, completely concealing the figure inside the carriage. The citizens knew that the person sitting in the carriage was the East Qin country's crown princess, but no matter how long they stretched their necks and how wide their eyes were, they could not see a single hair on the girl's head. The majestic guard of honor was lined up in a long line, stretching from the entrance of the post house all the way to the city gate. Along the way, the commoners cheered for Namu Qiu and the crown princess in the carriage. This was because they all knew that it was because the crown princess was willing to marry to East Qin that the crown prince gave them a year's worth of tributes. This meant that they could live peacefully for at least a year. Chapter 801. No matter how long the road was, there would always be an end. Finally, they arrived in front of the city gates. Namu Qiu stopped his horse, and Chen Ning's carriage also stopped. At the end of the road was the Emperor and Empress Dowager Zhou, as well as the civil and military officials, a dense mass of several dozen people. They had been waiting here for a long time, raising their heads in anticipation. Namu Qiu jumped off his horse and bowed to Mo Chuan and Empress Dowager Zhou, saying a few words of thanks according to etiquette. Mo Chuan's face was as calm as always, without any abnormalities. He was not warm or cold, making it hard for people to see through him. Namu Qiu couldn't help admiring the other side's composure, not showing any emotions on his face. If it was him, he would not be able to do this. If he saw his beloved girl marry far away, how could he be this calm as if nothing had happened? He would have already taken out his scimitar to fight that person. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a faint smile, "Your Highness, this widow has already prepared a rich dowry for Ning as well as many of my West Chu specialties. This widow hopes that after Ning marries to your country, seeing these things from her homeland will help her feel homesickness. This widow is afraid that Ning or won't be used to your country's food, so I specially prepared these boxes of food. Su Jin, show these things to His Highness. Namu Qo said with a smile. The Empress Dowager is truly thoughtful. Ning, come down and say goodbye to the Emperor and the Empress Dowager. The maid opened the bead curtain, and in front of everyone's eyes, Chun Ning slowly walked out of the carriage, appearing in front of everyone. Her hair was like fog, her face was like snow, and her long red dress was spread out like a blooming flower. Her peerless appearance dazzled everyone's eyes and made them suffocate. Namu Qo looked at everyone's stunned gazes with satisfaction. As a man, the more beautiful his woman was, the more face he would feel. Chun Ning looked down and bowed to Empress Dowager, showing gratitude. She was now the future East Qin Crown Princess, so her status was different from before. She no longer needed to bow to Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou held her hand and affectionately spoke to her. Su Jin stood beside Empress Dowager Zhou, and her eyes couldn't help turning red. Namu Qo kept staring at Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan noticed this and turned back to look at Namu Qo, revealing a faint smile. Your Highness has something to say to this one. Namu Qo shook his head. This prince doesn't have anything to say. I just want to know if His Majesty the Emperor has anything to say. Have a safe journey. Mo Chuan thought about it, and Mo Chuan. Namu Qo's eyes widened. Your Majesty, you only have this sentence? Mo Chuan looked at him with a complicated gaze before turning his head away. Namu Qo was stunned. He wanted to see disappointment, jealousy, hesitation, and dispiritedness on this young and handsome emperor's face, but he was disappointed, because he could not see anything from Mo Chuan's face. Chun Mo Mu Chun of Shao of Chun, Chun Mo Ning. He was Mo Mu Mu as he as. Ning, as Mo U as time, as Ning, as he, as he, as Mo, as he Chun as he was. As Ning as Mo, as Ning, Mo Ning Ling of the time. Mo Ning time, Ling Ning. Time, the Ning Ning long as long Chable. Dao. Although he had taken her from the side of the young emperor, he was not happy at all. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.